All right. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
On this thing once again. Y'all know how we do.
Shabbat Shalom.
Try to keep this thing as long as possible. I'm trying to get back into the video on social media. I don't see it popping up. Must going to take a second before it hit, but it's okay. Let's get started. Today, what we do now, right now at this time, is we like to give honor, glory, and praise to the Creator by giving a commandment. Show him how much we remember about what he requires of us. By giving the Creator commandment, everybody we go through, we give our commandments, and we say our commandments one by one, piece by piece, and then we give an explanation to our commandments. Okay, so who would like to be first?
I can go first.
All right, you got it, Alva.
All right. Leviticus 19, 26, and 29. Yeah. And do not make cuttings in your flesh for the dead or put tattoo marks on you. I am Yahuwah. Do not profane your daughter by making her a whore so that the land does not whore and the land become filled with wickedness. And as far as with the tattoos, you have a lot of people that was already tatted up as they came into truth. So I mean, they're there. I mean, you stuck with them now. But the thing that really stands out is that how the Creator put out there, he said, do not profane your daughters by making her a whore so that the land does not whore and the land become filled with wickedness. And one of the things that we can see, and everyone can attest to, is that land is filled with wickedness. And the sad thing is that I'm not talking about in a situation where you have the young ladies, well, even up into the teens, but like you have grown women that don't know what modesty is, and they don't care how they dress and what they show, just whatever it takes to attract or make themselves happy. But the thing that bothers me is when you on social media now, everyone has their cute little daughters dressing like, I mean, they're barely able to walk and stand, but they're dressing them, and they use the term grown. They're dressing them like they're teenagers, like they're grown women, and it's really sad. Some people, oh, it's so cute, and then they do the little head tilt, and then they got them, sitting there like switching and stuff. I'm like, y'all, that stuff is not cute at all. I mean, it's not cute worth a darn, and I'm being nice, because these people are putting their children on there, and they're making them an open show, an open spectacle. Our daughters are to be protected, and our sons as well. But our daughters are to be protected, and specifically, the Creator said, "Do not profane your daughter by making her a whore." One of the things is that not so much even getting into the act of it, but you're advertising now. You're putting them out there. You're putting them on Front Street. Oh, isn't she so cute? Got her little face made up. She can't even read, let alone put on her own makeup. But you got her out there walking around, got her little purse and her little matching outfit. I'm like, y'all, this is not cute at all. You're making them look like little whores. And then as they grow and when something happens, now we want to blame society. You start thinking society is made up of people. And you're part of the people. Like I said, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And the people that do this mess are definitely the problem, because you're putting your daughter out there, and then when they get older, then they'll want to find a virtuous man. They'll want to find a good man to be with. But look what you've already done. And then when they start getting older, they start getting flipped with their mom and their father, and they start talking and start acting all out. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Oh, yes, you lit that fuse a long time ago. And then when you try to chastise them when they're older, but you let me do it when I was younger, you're creating an argument against yourself from the very beginning. So we see that is continually being done today. The land is being is already full of wickedness, and it's not making it any better. And it's sad, and I say more so when it's among our own people. We're putting our daughters out there, and we're already making them whores before they can even they can't pronounce their names half the time. And it's sad, and it's really sad. And I yield.
You are absolutely correct. The mothers are at fault. A lot of fathers are at fault by not being in the parents in the child's life, by conducting it. But I know a guy, personally, I know a guy. He had 4 children, 4 girls by this female. They split up. The children was living with him, but they went to stay with the mothers. They couldn't take the father no more because he had too many rules, regulations, and guidelines in place. So they went down and stayed with the mother. So one day the guy goes down there and see the daughters, and they were hiding from him. He ran into them on the street. And these was all young teenage girls. I think the youngest was about 12 at the time, and the oldest might have been about 15, 16, somewhere in that area. Halter tops, stomach hanging out, little tiny shorts. And the mom, the whole family was Hebrew, and the mom was Hebrew. And she let her daughters go out in the street just like that. A few years later, I guess it might have been about a good 5 years later, maybe, I get a call. Preach! My daughter is sneaking people in the basement. Well, where do you think it come from? What do you think that's coming from? Why do you think your daughter is now sneaking people in the basement, men in the basement, to come in to do things with? When it was fresh, you didn't want to hear, you didn't want to take the advice of a man. You didn't want to hear what the man had to say. Now, how do you explain that to a woman, she's not your woman, she's somebody else's woman, but you are in a position of leadership? How do you explain that to her? Because this job gets difficult. The best way to explain it is with classes like this. And then maybe someone will be hearing and taking note as to what's going on and how to avoid certain situations. So just like you said, Abba, they have them women, the young girls out there with the little halter tops on, halter tops across their chest, stomach hanging out, these little mini shorts. With the back, the little shorts with the back of the cheek be hanging out, and then they got on heels. If that's not the outfit of a prostitute, what is it? You're raising your children to be harlots, your little girls, to be harlots, very whorish by nature. A lot of our sisters got a whore's forehead. You know what the scripture says that about the children of Israel? We have a whore's forehead. That means that everything we think about is always about sex and giving it up and who to give it to and when to give it to. Almost everything that we do is how we can get sexual pleasure out of it. We sit in almost at every table and sit down about any situation, we're thinking about sex. We're thinking about, and a lot of men has a whore's forehead as well. It's not just the sisters, it's not just the females. A lot of females do it because the men entice them, because the men like it. So now the females think that they're giving the men what they like. Well, males like it. Men don't move like that. So they're giving the males what they think they like. And now when she meets a man and she wants to be married, he says, oh, no, I can't mess with you. I can't move with you. She wants to know why. I'm pretty enough. I'm sexy enough. And they don't understand that when a man takes a wife, it ain't got nothing to do with all that stuff. It ain't got nothing to do with how pretty you are, how sexy you are. It's not even about that when you're married to a man, So we got a lot to learn, family. And that was a very important point that you brought out. I pray that there's some people watching this who have young children who are females so that they can learn how to properly dress their young females, and how to raise them up in this truth, to learn to worship the Creator and live according to the Most High's ways, because it's very, very, very important. Our women need to be protected, not just when they're grown, but from their youth. From the moment they're conceived, in the woman's womb, they need to be protected. The mother needs to be protected so that the child will come out productive and all working with all limbs and everything, eating the right things, drinking the right things, so she can come out and give a live birth so that the child's mind will be able to comprehend the things that are needed as the child inclines through life gradually, so it can gravitate toward the teachings that it needs to better equip itself in this wicked world. But if you're not eating right, you're not drinking right, your child ain't going to have the capability, no matter how you say it, no matter how you word it, they won't think anything is wrong because they don't have the capability in their mind to process wickedness and evil. They won't see it. So from her youth, she got to be protected. Don't do this, do this. You know, from her birth, actually, but from her youth, she needs to be protected as well. And we need to groom them to be somebody's husband. I mean, somebody's wife. We need to groom our little males to be somebody's husband. That's how we build a nation. You start from the moment of conception to pattern them after the ways of righteousness. And from that moment on up, we raise them. Like my little baby, the one that I got now. When I'm feeding him, he's only 2 months now. But when I'm feeding him, I'm teaching him how to hold his own bottle. He's only 2 months, and he's holding his own bottle now. He's been holding his own bottle for about a week now. He's holding his own bottle while he drink. He'll hold it for a little while, then he stop. But what am I doing? I'm teaching him how to be self-sufficient, not to rely on your mother or your father all the time in every situation when you can do for self. And not enough of us have learned these simple lessons in our youth. Therefore, when we come up, we walk around looking like trash because we rely on somebody else to give us what we need, and we want to please them, so we do what they say for us to do. And that's how a lot of people are today. We gravitate toward what they desire of us, and we have no principles of life in how we're supposed to take and dress and be for ourselves. There is no way that a 5-year-old little girl should be outside with a halter top on and booty shorts and heels or any kind of shoes. There's no way that a 5-year-old should be that way. If that 5-year-old is being raised that way, then that's how she's going to grow up later in life, thinking that promiscuity is okay. If her mother, her father would have gravitated from the youth and opened up her brain at the age of 5, she would have known, even if her mom put it on her, she would have known that something ain't right with this. But don't think children are stupid. Don't think that, please, because there is an innateness inside of them where they can teach you. Did you see the video? I saw a video one time where the young boy was at a party with his mom. And his mom was in the middle of the floor dancing like a harlot. And the little boy was on the side looking at his mom like this. And a dude walked up on his mom and started doing this to his mom butt. And the little boy walks in front of the dude like this. No, don't do that. The little dude was young. Where did he get this knowledge from? It's innately inside of them. He's looking at his mom on the floor, making herself look a fool. She a grown woman. He's a little boy. Who taught him that she was wrong? It's innately inside of them. She probably ate well, or he just passed the odds and was super intelligent. He knew. So don't sleep on these children today, y'all. Please don't sleep on them, because they know a lot of the things that you don't think they know.
Can I comment as well?
Yeah, why would we stop you from commenting? You the prince's wife.
Okay. Yes, this is a big subject to touch on. First off, Toda Abba Matthias for bringing this up, because this is like prevalent so hard within our community. Not even just like how the young girls are dressing, but even the young boys. Like they're still young boys, whether they be like middle school age, young age or higher, that dress a certain way, sagging and things like that. And it's really discouraging to watch. And what I really wanted to point out was that it pours into the education system too, whether they wear uniforms or regular clothes at school. I currently work at a private school where they wear uniforms, but I kid you not, these little girls' skirts, and I'm saying little girls, I'm talking about just from high school all the way down, really from middle school, they start to wear skirts. The K through, I would say, like 5th grade, they have the options of skirts and pants, and well, they all do, but they tend to be longer when they're younger. But when they hit middle school age, for some reason, the skirts become really, really short. I'm talking literally above, like not even just above the knee. I'm like inches,
Panties.
5 or 6 inches. What'd you say?
Panties.
I'll get to it. 5 or 6 in, like literally barely covering their private parts. And I kid you not, I think she was a senior. This girl had on one of these skirts. They all wear this, and she had bent over, and I literally saw her undergarments straight up, just flat out saw them. And that happened to me at least 2 times, and I wasn't sure who to talk to about this. I didn't say nothing to the girl. I probably should have. She wasn't my student or anything, but not in my class. But I just had witnessed it for like a quick second, and I had experienced that at least 2 times. So this is even in the schools, like they just dress like this. Even the uniforms, they have the uniforms purposely designed for the young women's skirts to be so short, to where they bend over, you can literally see everything. It's really disgusting. Like there's no modesty. There's literally no modesty in the young world of their attire. Even at Target, go to Target and you'll see, like, not the teen section, the young girl, the little girl section, right? Like 5, 6, 7, up to 10 years old, that section, they have crop tops for those little girls. They have swimsuits for those little girls where the hips are showing. What on earth? Why are hips showing on 5-year-old little girl swimsuits? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, it's ridiculous. It's literally designed. And then not only do we fall victim and pick these things for our children, but then we wonder why, like you said, Abba, they grow up with such promiscuity of the mind, or we cry wolf and say, oh, you shouldn't be sexualizing your children. Meanwhile, you dressing them like this on purpose. Like, you can't have it both ways. It's really sick.
May the Most High be praised. It's bad. It's real bad.
But the thing that frustrates me the most, I'm sorry, Abba.
Mm.
So sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't get this part. The thing that frustrates me the most about it is that we, as a collective community of people, choose it. Like we literally, it's one thing for them to put it out for us, but we don't have the discipline or cognitive dissonance to say, oh no, we don't want our children in that. We gladly put our sons and daughters in this clothing. Why? I yield. I'm done now.
All right. Very good. This is true. This is true. I don't think we desire for it not to be that way. I think we like it that way. I think we like it that way. But what's the resolution to all this? How do we solve this problem? Community living and standards and principles within the community would help us to solve that problem. And not enough of us are being held accountable for how our children are being raised. Not enough of us. I have a problem with this with children. I mean, and adults. Males coming out the house with slippers on. I got a problem with that, because a male's supposed to be a protector, and we're supposed to train them from their youth. Therefore, they shouldn't be walking around with sandals that can come off of their feet real easily. They shouldn't be walking around like that, but they do. I used to tease a lot of people when I see them like that. I'll walk up behind them, step on the back of their shoe when they go to walk, step on the back of their shoe and watch them stumble. Now, what would happen if he was in a fight? If you had to protect your mother, your sister, or your little brother, what would happen then? If you was a man and you're out with Crocs on your feet and a murderer comes by and you have the opportunity to defend your family and y'all get into a scuffle, you got Crocs on, he step on your feet, you done. You out of it. He kick you in your ankle, you out of it. And y'all think this is a small thing, but we're at war. And the war that we at is not just with knives and guns, it's with the foods that we eat as well. We're in a complete total warfare. The television shows we watch, the radios we listen to, the billboards that we see, the people that we communicating with. If my wife would have told that young girl that she could see her underwear, her skirt's too short, my wife could have lost her job. She could have lost her job because we know, because things like this have happened already in the past. They will come. Who are you to tell that little girl that they want our children to be out of order? They intentionally do these things. The televisions, the radios, the billboards, the movies, all of these things are pushing promiscuity in the minds of our youth and in our minds, and homosexuality. Prominent in the midst of our people. Prominent. And there's almost nothing you can do about it. As a teacher, if my wife was to tell a classroom full of children that a little baby boy has a penis or a follicle, and a little baby girl has a vagina, and these things are used for reproduction. Let's just say she made a distinction. She might have went, Lord, you might not want to go all that into it, but let's just say she said, little boys are born male and little girls are born female. She could lose her job for that. And I don't want you to say nothing, babe, because I don't want nobody to ever be able to say nothing about you said something. I'm saying it because I know how it is. She could actually lose her job for pointing out the difference between a male and a female child, because the little female child wants to be male, so they identify as a little male. The little male child wants to be a female, so he identifies as a female. And if you try to set the record straight, they won't get you. This society will punish you for that. You can lose your job. They have the right to sexual preference. See what you started out with? That command you put out got us all over the place, talking about all these horrible things. But as you stated, your ideal of what you stated, it all starts in the home. How we raise our children, how we teach them what and what not to do, and how and what not to wear. We have to be the instillers of knowledge within our children. So as they grow, they can develop their own characteristics and traits off of what we have given them and taught them in their youth. If you don't teach your children discipline, your child will be unorganized and undisciplined when they grow up. If you don't teach your child integrity, your child will have no integrity when he grows up. Or when she grows up. You have to teach her modesty in her youth, so that when she grows, she will be modest in her adulthood. I know one brother who has 2 daughters that I know of who have come up to be beautiful young women. When it comes to, you know them too, Albert, you know what I'm talking about. When it comes by way of virtue and modesty and integrity, beautiful young women. Beautiful young women. And that all starts in the youth, in the child's youth. When they're being raised, you got to talk to them. But not only do you talk to them, you show them from your example of how they're to conduct themselves. So may the Most High be praised. You want to say anything, Abba?
Well, with that, and total Rabbi Prince, like I said, all praises to the Most High. Like I said, definitely didn't do it by myself, because they had a phenomenal example before them. Because my lady Shah was she was phenomenal. I mean, we get out there on the homestead, she can about cut wood right along with the men. It was just as feminine as she wanted to be, and let them know from, like say, from birth all the way up to the young beautiful women that they are now, that like say that you're going to be a lady first and foremost, and then like say setting the standard, and letting them see what it looks like functionally, what it looks like to be a woman, and how to be, and how to sit. And like say, they sit, you know, sometimes just out of reflex, you sit down. She's sit down, close your legs. Ladies don't sit like that. No, ladies sit like this. This is how young girls are supposed to sit. Even grown women ain't supposed to sit like that, because it's not attractive. Because it's like, what you doing? You act like, well, you acting like you got a situation going on. But again, I really give the praise to the King for having a mother that really instilled it in them from birth all the way up. And so she was truly a phenomenal example. And that's what it takes in this time, like say from the mother's perspective, and then also from the fathers, where the fathers be like, well, she want to let them dress like that. It's like, no, that's like say, you're going to be a male or you're going to be a man. You start thinking, no, my daughter is not going to look like that. I don't care what everybody else is doing. I don't care what fad is going on. I've never been a fad chaser anyway. But it doesn't matter what the rest of the world is doing. Except if the rest of the world jump off a bridge, are you going to jump off too? And most people will ignorantly say yes. And they do. Well, they say, wide is the path that leads to destruction. And there are many that follow therein because it's easy. And there's a saying that I love. They say, what one generation allows in moderation, the next generation will allow in excess. And it just a little bit, that as you start lightening and loosening the reins on modesty, loosening the reins on dress and what it means to be a woman and a woman in training. And that's all girls are, women in training. And if you start going the way of society, then once it gets to a certain point, it's like it's no holds barred, just like it is now. Just like it is now, like say with the young men and the young women. I can't stand to see a man walking around sagging. And then you walking around, then you got a belt on your pants and all the loops, and you're walking around holding on to your belt. You look like an idiot. Miles Monroe once said, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. And abuse is abnormal use. That's the abnormal use of something. You have a belt on, but your pants are below the waist. You know what that means? That means you're an idiot. That's literally what it means, that you're stupid. You don't understand the purpose. And if you think that you're making a fashion statement, you most absolutely are. You're saying I'm an idiot and I'm satisfied with being that way. I yield.
Whoo!
Oh, I'm an idiot and I'm satisfied with being that way. All right, let's see what we got here. Literally 5-year-old girls in tank tops and lip gloss. All right, we have a commandment here. Leviticus 19:32. Rise up before the gray head, and you shall favor the face of an old man, and shall reverence your Elohim. I am the creator. And this means we are to give our elders the utmost respect. Rise when they enter into the room. Keep your silence when elders are before you and speaking. It is our duty to honor those who come before us. May the Most High be praised. May the Most High be praised. All right, let's see what we have next. Back in the day, they rolled up their skirts from the waist. It prevails. What is that? It's prevalent over many years. They wrote up. I don't know what that's speaking of, Sister Sukari. So maybe you can reword that for me so I can. I'm a little slow sometimes, especially when we start class up all fresh again. I need a little bit more precise instruction so I can know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm just missing it. Back in the day, they rolled up their skirts from the waist. They rolled them up from the waist. It prevalent over many years. All right, I'm gonna wait till she gets and share with me what she's talking about, because I don't want to add to her words. She knows what she's saying. All right. All praises to the Most High Elohim, first and foremost. Second, shalom, Shabbat shalom. We must remember that racist white people make bad clothing on purpose to seduce males and females to dress naked on able television. Absolutely. Absolutely. As a yay, her, if it's dress code, what? As a yay.
I think she means as a teacher, if it's dress code.
As a teacher, if it's dress code, you can say something and not get fired, but it ain't dress code. It ain't against their dress code. They letting them do it. Just don't speak on their sexuality. It's crazy. And that's right. All praises to the Most High Elohim, first and foremost. Second, shalom. Happy Shabbat. We must remember that racist white people use psychological mind control to get us Israelites to live backwards. Very good example. Very good example. All right, let's go to the next commandment, please. Ishi, I think that's you.
Yes. Mine is from Devarim or Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 6. No man shall take the nether, or this is KJV version. No man shall take the nether or the upper millstone to pledge, for he taketh a man's life to pledge. Now, I think this goes in conjunction with the commandments below it, which is verse 8 and through no, I'm sorry, verse 7 through 8, which also reads, oh, I'm sorry, 8. Take heed to the pledge. Oh, I'm sorry, the baby is distracting me. Let me.
He's trying to tell you what the commandment means.
He is. So I'll just try to explain what I read. No man shall take nether or the upper millstone to pledge, for he taketh a man's life to pledge. I think what this is trying to say is that I'm not sure what nether or upper is referring to, but I think what the scripture is ultimately saying is you should not take the most valuable thing from a man as a pledge, because the second part of the sentence says, if you do that, if you take the nether or the upper millstone, it's basically you taking a man's life for a pledge, and that's something that we shouldn't do. You shouldn't take a man's way of living as a pledge, because if you do, how on earth is he supposed to get it back to you if you take his way of living away from him? And how is he supposed to survive? So I think that's what this saying. I hadn't heard that scripture as the way it's saying it before, the nether or the upper millstone, but I think that's ultimately what it's saying.
That's exactly what it's saying. May the Most High be praised. That's exactly what it's saying. Like if the guy who is making a pledge to you is a bricklayer, you shouldn't take his tools as a pledge, so he'll pay you back. So if you borrow money from somebody, your bricklayer, you shouldn't give them your tools in exchange for whatever money they're going to give you, and then tell you I'll pay you back next week, because that money, the money he makes, how he provides for the life of him and his family, comes by way of those tools. So you shouldn't take that as a pledge for him to pay you back, or as somebody giving a word that they're going to do something. That's against the law. So he said, that's right, Abba. That's
You have a commandment?
Yeah. He said, that's right, Abba. All right. So thank you very much. And Sister Sakari put up her explanation. She said the skirts are too short, and it continues today. Very well. I see what she's speaking of now. The skirts are too short. Back in the day, they rolled up their skirts from the waist. Oh, wow. It prevalent over many years, and it became prevalent over many years. And today, the skirts are too short, and it continues today. And that's sad. And they are, But we Hebrews, we people of color, we model ourselves after the other nations. We want to be like the other nations. I remember when I was younger, I'm only 39 3/4 now, but when I was younger, they used to have what they called the Dukes of Hazzards. Anybody remember the Dukes of Hazzards? Yeah, there was two white boys. They was cool white boys, one with blonde hair, one with black hair. And they used to jump out the car. They had this, was it Camaro? They had a Camaro or something, a real nice race car. Like they used to jump out the car. So they made that famous, jumping out the car. Well, they had this sister. Her name was Daisy. Was that her name, Daisy? I think that might have been her name, Daisy. That's right. She used to wear these little shorts. And this is where they get the Daisy Dukes from. That's why they call them Daisy Dukes. She used to wear these little shorts that was cut across the butt, where the butt cheeks would hang out. And this part right here, the clip part, will be open, but the zipper will be up. And they called those shorts Daisy Dukes. Now, they did that in a European show many years ago, and now our sisters still do it to the day. But that's where they picked it up, right there. And now they still, and that show was on a long time ago. Yeah, 39 3/4. That's what I said. That show was on a long time ago, and you might can still find it somewhere. Sometimes they still archive things like that and still play it over and over, the reruns. I'm sure all those people are gone now because it was an old show. But that's where they get that promiscuity with the young ladies right there, Daisy Dukes. And that's what she called it. They called it Daisy Dukes. All right. So there we go. Are there any more commandments? Anybody in the audience want to type any commandments in the room? And we have a wonderful class for y'all. You might want to go out and share, like, and subscribe, ring the bell. You might want to go do all that stuff. Share on your social media page because we get ready to tear it up in here. We're going to learn some stuff today. Oh, we're going to learn some stuff. We're going to have plenty of conversation. And when you leave this class, you're going to leave with a little bit more than when you came out, when you came. So when you came, if you had 9% of knowledge, you will leave here with about 10, 15% of knowledge, or maybe more, that you didn't have when you came, so that you can help someone else to learn what they didn't learn. And so you can also apply some of these teachings and incorporate them in your life. May the Most High be praised. Today we're going to deal with proper methods for taking a spouse. Okay? Now we're almost past the courtship process. We like 99% out of the way out of the courtship process, and we're going to get into what happens after the courtship. Okay? Any other questions or comments? Any other commandments? Do anyone have a commandment for us before we move on? And have everyone taken the time to share, like, and subscribe to the page? And I don't think so. Looks like we got 4 likes, and we got 1,200 people. We got 120,000 people in the room. 120,000 people, and we only got four likes, and that's not right. That's not how we're gonna do this. We got to fix this, family, with 120,000 people. Come on now, let's get it up, family. Let's get it up. Come on, we can do better than this, family. All right, we getting up there slowly but surely. We getting up there. How many shares? Do you all share these on your social media platforms? Do you all ring the bell so that when we go live, it'll hit you up and say, yo, Prince and them live, man. Hurry up, tune in. So your computer say that to you? Do you do that? Because I do it for myself. Just so I can remind myself. All right, so let's get busy. There are no commandments. There are no further comments. Oh, I got to give a commandment, right? All right. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not commit murder. Thou shalt not trespass. Thou shalt not commit adultery. If a thief get caught breaking in and you take his life, it's okay. But I'm trying to remember that law and how it is if the thief get caught breaking in. But if you get caught stealing a man, let's say if you kidnap somebody, you steal somebody, and you got caught stealing a man, you're supposed to lose your life for that, because you're not supposed to take a man's life, steal him, kidnap him. You're not supposed to do that. And if the Creator says, if you get caught doing so, you're supposed to lose your life. And every time I say that, I teach myself, I program myself to say, so what's supposed to happen to the European man who stole us and brought us here? For those of us who came over here on slave ships. All of us didn't come over here on slave ships, but a lot of us did. So for those of us who came over here, our ancestors that came over here on slave ships, the Europeans, when they got caught doing so, like today, now we got the knowledge, we know, who is it that's going to bring down that righteous judgment upon their necks? We're going to have to let the Most High do that, right? We're going to have to leave that in the hands of the Most High. But I tell you what I have been seeing that's a little bit slightly out of this conversation, but yet still on the same hand of someone doing something and punishment coming to them. This is what I've been seeing recently in videos and stuff on social media. I have been seeing a lot of people of color taking vengeance on the oppressor. What I mean, I've seen a lot of videos recently with people killing law enforcement officers. I am in no way saying for anyone to go out and kill any law enforcement officers. I'm not. But what I'm seeing is, I heard this one story where this European officer had actually killed a black man's daughter. He killed her. I don't know how he killed her. I don't know how, or I don't know the situations around it. And he was found not guilty. He was found not guilty. This man turns around. He waited. He prolonged. He studied. He researched. And then he went and killed that man's child to show that man what it felt like. You see, until we start thinking and people start really standing up for what they understand to be right, it's not going to stop. People are going to keep taking advantage of us. They're just going to keep doing it to us over and over and over and over until we take and hold ourselves accountable for the loss that we've been having. So many of our young children are ended up missing in the streets today. You look at those papers and clippings and things of that nature. Watch the news of a lot of the children that are now missing. Look at the headlines. A lot of those children that are missing look just like us. Not all of them, but a large majority, I would say 3/4 of them, look just like us. And it's our children, because they know that they can do what they want to do to our children and nothing is going to happen to them if they're caught. There are almost no repercussions. What I mean by no repercussions, do you ever see Asian children on the news missing? Do you ever see Asian children where they done kidnap Asian children and they're in a, and if you see it, it's very rarely. You probably never see it. It's very rarely if you ever see it at all. Do you ever see Jewish children in the papers missing? Jewish children, where they snatched up some Jewish kid and can't find him and the parents don't know where he at? Do you ever see that? And if you do, it's very rare. I'm not talking about the Jewish child that they ain't even raised up in Judaism. They just Jewish because their last name is Levi or something. I'm talking about the Jewish man who lives that life for Judaism. It's very rare that you will see their children missing. It's very rare that you see the Asian children missing. But you see our children missing all the time. And a part of that is because we have no love for each other. We truly don't. We truly have no love for each other. And if we did have love for each other, if one of us went missing, one of theirs go missing. If one of us got shot in the head, 2 or 3 or 4 of theirs will get shot in the head. That young lady that Abba spoke about earlier today, 4 or 5 of them would have received that same punishment. Let that happen to the Chinese man and watch what happens. Let that happen to the Jewish man and watch what happens. I seen the police trying to lock a Jewish man up on video in New York. The whole community was in the street fighting the cops. And the cops were afraid because they know the Jewish man got power. Where's our power at, family? Where's our unity? If we just stuck together, they will leave us alone. But they know that we're divided, we're separated, and they can easily conquer us. And again, I'm not telling anybody to go out and kill anyone. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying to go take the life of anybody. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we need to stand together and protect what's ours. We must protect what's ours by any means necessary. Because if we don't, it's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. All right. So where were we? We was given commandments, right? Okay. And I just seen Sister Tucilia put up a commandment. What's the brother got right here? Remember the Dukes of Hazzards? They very well, Daisy Dukes was her name. Those shorts and she had on was to make men watching the show. That's wisdom right there, because that's what they was doing. Men was watching the show, looking for Daisy. Sister Laurel posted a scripture, has Sister Tucilia post a scripture, and it says, my scripture is taken from Wayikra, Leviticus 11 and 9 to 13. Explanation. Isha, you have a chance to read that?
I can pull it up 1 second.
Leviticus chapter 11. That's right. It ain't going to stop till we stop it.
Okay, in Vayikra, Leviticus chapter 11, verse 9 to 13. These shall ye eat of that are in the waters. Whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them you shall eat. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses as an abomination.
May the Most High be praised. Todah Rabbah for that reading. This passage plainly says it all. For those who desire to eat fish, everything else, you name it, that under the sea or elsewhere is an abominable for consumption. Very well. Thank you very much, Sister Laurel. Let me talk about that for a second. You know, in Leviticus, the 11th chapter, the Creator he gives a physical characteristic that you can look for on a cow or a pig or a wild beast that roams in the gardens, that lives. He shows us physical characteristics that you can look for to determine if this animal is clean or unclean. Like, for example, they have to be cloven-footed, they have to have split hoofs, and they have to chew up the cud. If they do those three things, then we can say we can eat them. No matter what they look like, how ugly they might be, they are acceptable for food for us to eat if they possess those three qualities. Now, if we go to the fish in the sea, any fish that swims in the sea, that swarms, that lives, that grows, that moves, and does all those things in the sea, it has to have fins and it has to have scales. So the first one was characteristics with the wild beasts. The second one is characteristic with fins and scales for the things that swim in the ocean. And in the last one, he says, the fourth thing, he talk about creeping things that creepeth upon the earth. If it has many legs above his elbows, or if it walks on many legs, something like that, then these things you can eat. If they have many legs that walk upon the earth, and they're how does it say it? I can't remember the correct scripture terminology. If they have many legs, yes?
I was going to say, I think it's for hopping.
Yeah, some of them are for hopping, but there's other ones that they don't hop, they fly, and they also have many legs above their feet, I think it is, elbows above their feet, or something in that nature, but we would have to go look at that. But anyway, in all three of those places, he tells us specific characteristics to look for in those things to tell if these things are clean or unclean. But did you ever notice that he never did that with the birds? He never gave us characteristic traits with the birds to look for, with the birds to say, yeah, this bird is clean or this bird is unclean. Like, for example, the chicken. The only thing the scripture says is after its kind. So if it's a vulture after its kind, that means anything in the vulture family you can't eat. Turkeys, vultures. Chickens, vultures. Falcons, vultures. All these things. If you look at a turkey today, it looks just like many legs above its feet. There you go. I was right then. Okay. So jointed legs above his feet, like the elbow, the jointed. Yeah. So all these birds are unclean and we consume them daily. We don't even question it. We don't even question it. We just accept it and we eat it. We don't do the research. We don't even question. But when somebody says to us, yo, that's not cool, we're not supposed to do that. Oh, we don't want to be a part of that. We don't want to hear that. And a lot of spiritual leaders need to begin to do the research so they can teach this information to save our people, because we're still sinning against the Creator by the foods that we eat. So that's very good. Thank you very much for that. And Todah Rabbah, Abba, for bringing it out for us. All right. Sister Zanta Zanta, Shabbat Shalom, Sister Zanta Zanta. Leviticus 21:14. A widow or a divorced woman or woman who has been defiled or a prostitute, these shall ye not marry, but he shall take a wife as a virgin. Wow, that's deep. Does anybody have any idea what she's talking about? Because the scripture she presented is a powerful scripture. All right, so I'm going to just leave it. I'm going to just tell you what it's saying, what it's talking about. In Leviticus 20 and 21, and I think it might even talk about it in 22. I'm not sure about 22. But it talks about the priests. And it talks about what the priest is and what he is not to do. But then it goes into a special portion about the high priest. And the high priest could not take a widow or a divorced woman. The high priest could not take a wife of a woman unless she was married to a high priest. Other than that, he couldn't take that woman. If she wasn't a virgin, he couldn't take that woman. The high priest, not the priest, but the high priest. There's an exclusion for the high priest because he's most sacred and most close to the Almighty. So the woman he had to marry had to be a virgin and never known man. That's deep. That's a deep thing. So she had to be of a special character, and so did he. All right. Thank you for that commandment, Sister Opal. May the Most High be praised. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Igdalia. Shabbat Shalom. All right. Is there anything else? Any other commandments before we close it out and go into our lesson part? Are there any other commandments that we want to bring out? I'm trying to be patient just to give everybody an opportunity to present their commandment before we move on. All right, while you're searching for your commandment, I'm going to get set up so we can start. All right, I got everything I need in place. I don't see any commandments popping up. But if you put your commandment up before we get to moving, then before we go too far into the lesson, then I'll address it then. It's fine. May the Most High be praised. So this was the portion of our lesson that we started on last week. And we talked about the proper method for a person who was in pursuit of a wife, a courtship, or a betrothal. Today's lesson is named Proper Method for Taking a Spouse. The first part of that method was the betrothal process, when they would court, when they would get to know each other, and that whole situation and the whole process that they went through in the beginning to get to take the time to learn and to know each other. There are a lot of different ideals in how people should do these things. A lot of different terminologies and how people should court and how people should get to know each other. We here at Beulah Land at Temple Kifarim, we believe in a courtship process, and it can last anywhere from 6 months to a year or longer if needed and necessary for the two individuals to really get to know each other. We're not looking to marry people so that they'll end up in divorce. We're willing to take our time and move slow so that these people, once they come together, that they would stay together throughout all eternity. But there are different aspects of marriage that a lot of people don't pay attention to. Like, you can marry a woman, she can be your wife, or you can marry a woman, she can be your concubine. There are many different ways and many different aspects of being married. You also have what they call a ketubah. Every marriage should have a ketubah. And what is a ketubah? A ketubah is a written contract between this person and that person saying, this is my wife and this is my husband. Usually, the man would just get a ketubah to the woman and she would have it. They both sign off on it. The spiritual leader signed off on it, or whoever pronounced them husband and wife will sign off on it, or whoever recognizes their marriage will sign off on it. Usually it goes with the wife. You know how women are. They like to put stuff on display. So it will usually be probably on the mantelpiece in their house, something of that nature, so that she could show it off to all her friends and let everybody know she married to this wonderful, great Hebrew man. Y'all know what I mean? Y'all know what I mean. I know y'all do. But there are a lot of marriages out here today where they have no ketubah, where the guy will just marry the girl temporarily, like we had sex, we married, so come on, give me some. You know you're my wife after that. And he never goes through the proper channels to officiate the marriage. So it's just like they boyfriend and girlfriend. And sometimes they live in different houses, you know? And then sometimes if they do live together, they'll go from house to house to house to house for this cousin, to that friend, to that neighbor, to this person, and they'll move around, him and her. And I like the fact that she's down for whatever, because she's going to stand strong by her man. But at the same time, he's not being a man. That's not manly characteristics. That's not manly traits. That's boyish traits. That's male characteristics and not manly. A man, if a man takes a wife, a man should have a place to take her, which you ain't got to tell a man that's what he has to have. A male will take a female as a wife, and as soon as he get mad, he breaking up with her, he putting her out of his house, he no longer with her anymore. Any marriage, every marriage, in my mind, should have a ketubah, a document, a certificate of marriage. Torah doesn't require a certificate of marriage. Torah only requires a certificate of divorce. But there are places in the scriptures where the Creator hints to a marriage certificate. And what is the word he uses? A certificate of marriage. I can't remember the word, the proper wording that's being used. But my favorite scripture is the book of Ezekiel, the 16th chapter, where it talks about how this woman that the Creator met became his woman. He's talking about the nation of Israel, how he took us, found us, cleaned us off, and made us his. He gave us ornaments of marriage, I believe it's called. Ornaments of marriage. I believe it's called ornaments of marriage, some type of way. And today we have a lot of people want to give you a wedding band as a, I got it. It's a token of marriage. Please forgive me. You can search that in the scriptures, see if you can find it. I think it's the King James Version that calls it a token of marriage today. But a lot of people today get into the fact that they want to put on a ring and put a ring on this finger right here and call it a marriage and call it a union, call it a wedding or a ceremony to clarify that this person is your husband or your wife. None of that's in the scripture. In fact, there's even people who say that that's pagan. I don't know it to be pagan. I haven't done the research on it to be pagan, so therefore I don't speak on it. When I marry a woman, I usually get her a ring to put on her finger so everybody leave her alone. So everybody know she belonged to a prince, leave her alone. So I get her a ring and put on her finger, and that hopefully that'll help her. But a lot of that is going to come from her mind state and how she conducts herself, how she handles herself, how she moves. A lot of that's going to come from there. So no matter what you really put on their finger, it doesn't mean anything. There's been a lot of people with 5 carats on their finger and they ended up in divorce. So it ain't about that. It's about her mind state. She ended up cheating on him and with another man with her ring on her finger. So none of that matters, but it's about the mind state of the woman, the individual. But in this betrothal process, in this courtship period, mutual consent and interest of both man and woman, permission of parents or guardian of the woman, physical examination, stable income, active working plan for provisions, shelter, character evaluation. Initial pursuit after all these requirements are met, the above requirements and all the classes and everything, 3 months period of supervised courtship, no physical contact, getting to know one another's interests, etc. All these things are things that are needed in the process of becoming a man's wife or a man or a woman's husband. All of those things are needed. But today, we don't really follow a lot of those things. We don't hold on to the sanctity of marriage. And a lot of people, as the brother said, they just come together and bang, there it is, they married. One out of three of us, good brothers and sisters in Israel, must come together. We have a power that's racist. White people can't stop. Okay, all right. We'll get that together. But the majority of our people just cohabit together, start having intercourse. And just because people see them together, we assume that they're married. And if you ask them, sometimes they'll tell you, no, we ain't married. But they're always together. They are having sex. And it's just accepted as something that takes place. But righteously, it's not. It's not a good thing. Every man that takes a woman should claim that woman as his property, as his wife. Every woman that belongs to a man should acknowledge that this man is your husband. It should be an open exchange of information in that area. So let's go to the book of Genesis, the 25th chapter, please. Oh, no. Nope. 24th chapter. Genesis, the 24th chapter. And if possible, if we can get a reader, please. Now, that might be a little hard to do, but can we get a reader?
I can read at the moment.
All right. Very good. Do you have your scriptures?
My apologies. What is it again? Genesis?
Yes, 24. Genesis, the 24th chapter. Start at verse 1, please.
And Abraham, Genesis.
Hold on 1 second. Let me tell you what my aim is by reading this. Is to answer how a man should take a wife in principle and in theory and according to Tanakh and the customs of our people and how we learned. A lot of things about taking a wife is not really spelled out, but this here chapter spells out many different methods for a particular type of relationship, and that is an arranged marriage. All right, move on, please.
So luckily, Abba, maybe Elder Matatiah should read due to the baby possibly waking up, and I don't want there to be interruptions.
Well, how about you read until he wakes up, and then if Abba decides he would like to read, then he can volunteer for that portion. And if you can't no longer read, then I'll just pick up and begin reading if Abba is not willing to. All right?
Okay.
All right. Read on, please.
Bereshit, Genesis chapter 24, verse 1. And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and the Creator had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had.
His elder's name was Eleazar, I believe it was.
Put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by the Creator, the Most High of heaven, and the power of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell.
Do y'all see what just took place? They entered into a covenant. And in the process of entering into that covenant, our father, Abraham, told him to put his hand under his thigh. Now, you know, in today's world, a man ain't going to put, unless he a little flaky, but we ain't dealing with no flakiness. Men ain't going to put their hand under the thigh of another man unless it's truly about integrity. Truly an honorable thing. I'm giving you my word, brother, and I'm willing to prove it to you in this manner that I'm giving you my word. So he put his hand on his thigh, and they entered into a bond. Two men. Read on, please.
Cain. Verse 4. But thou shalt go.
This is the continuation of the bond. First of all, don't give my son to no Canaanite in who we dwell. And if we think about that today, family, we live in the midst of a lot of Canaanitish acting people today. So therefore, we shouldn't allow our sons and our daughters to marry any Canaanitish people. First, we should look to our own people for our children to marry, although she wasn't worshiping the Almighty like we would like for her to have been. Read on, please.
Verse 4. But thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. And the servant said unto him, Peradventure the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land.
Now, this is important, family. I know a lot of times you probably read this, but I'm sure you didn't break it down like this. Here he's saying, I'm willing to go get this woman, but maybe she might not want to come and do this. Maybe she might not want to marry. Therefore, when a man comes to you and says, hey, look, I would like to marry your daughter should have a right and say in whether she has to marry that individual or not. A lot of times we don't do that. A lot of times in arranged marriages, they set it up from your youth. And they say, this is who you're going to marry when you get X amount of age. They take that young girl and they start training her and teaching her the desires and the likes of him so that she's actually built for a man like this. Is your daughter built for a certain specific type of man? Or is your daughter just built for the Canaanite men that does anything and everything whenever they want, like Shechem? Or is your daughter built for a certain type of characteristic and trait in a creator-fearing man? See, because that's how they raised them up. It wasn't no argument, well, you practice this and I practice this, so we can't get together. It was no argument in those things because she was raised up to please this man from her youth. But here in this particular situation he actually said, what if she doesn't want to come? And let's see what the Most High's, what Abraham's response is. If she doesn't want to come to this land, what do he say?
Verse 5. And the servant said unto him, Peradventure the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land. Must I needs bring thy son again unto the land from whence thou camest?
So do I need to come back and get your son and then take your son to her so that they can go there and start a life or take a wife or whatever they're going to do? Let's see what Abram says.
Verse 6. And Abraham said unto him, Beware that thou bring not my son thither again.
Now, what is he saying? He says, see to it that you do not take my son back there. A lot of times we hear things like this, but we don't fully understand what's being said. Abram is saying, if she's not willing to come, then leave her there. Don't go chase after nobody. You understand? Don't act like you starving and you have to have that particular one. That's what all that is saying. So sisters, if a man comes to your door and he comes knocking, he only coming knocking once. And if he come 2, 3, 4 times, something wrong with him. He doesn't understand. He only supposed to come once. Because if you're really the type of woman that he's supposed to have, you would recognize the type of man that he is, and you would answer that request. Now, in this scripture, they're not dealing with a courtship like we would deal with a courtship. They're dealing with the real facts of it, a marriage. But let's deal with it, family. Let's keep on moving. I just want to point out these key points in this way that these two came together. He said, if I go to get her and she decides she doesn't want to come to this land, should I come back and get your son and take your son back there to get her? No, don't do that, bro. The Creator gonna let us know what this is. It ain't gonna be no struggle. It ain't gonna be hard. It ain't gonna be no fight. It's gonna be real simple. Either she come or she don't come. And if she doesn't want to come, that's fine. She's able to stay where she is. But don't take my son and go get her because that will make him less of a man. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? It will make his value less if he has to go and chase down a woman to bring her to himself. It shouldn't happen that way. That's not how men maintain their value. Read on, please.
Verse 7. And the most high power of heaven, which took me from my father's house, and from the land of my kindred, and which spoke unto me, and that swore unto me, saying, Unto thy seed will I give this land, and he shall send his angel before thee, and thou shalt take a wife unto my son from thence.
So he said, I trust in the Most High. The Most High will cause everything to fall in its proper alignment as it should, and you will take my son from there. Read on.
And if the woman will not be willing to follow thee, then thou shalt be clear from this oath. My
As
own
a man, don't beg her. Don't even show her the money. Don't try to entice her. If she's not willing to come willingly of her own volition, of her own accord, if she's not willing to come, then you, my son, are free of this oath. You don't have to do it any longer. You kept your word. You've been a man about it. But the Most High in whom I serve should prepare the way. And that means if the Most High doesn't approve of it, then I don't approve of it. Too often we try to make things that we want to happen. And the Most High give us sign over and over and over that this ain't for you. But you know what? We so horny. We so thirsty. We so needy. We bend the rules of obeying what the Most High says, and we go do what we want to do anyway. And that's why so many of us are promiscuous, but yet we're single. How could you be promiscuous and be single and consider yourself a righteous individual? The three of them don't go together. Promiscuous, single, and righteous. There's no way that that goes together. But if you realize the majority of Israel are single, but yet the majority of Israel claim to be righteous. But the majority of Israel is also promiscuous, sexually active. How is that possible? And a lot of that is the reason why we are receiving the curses that we're receiving right now. Because as my sister Higdalia say, we're Shabbat Israelites. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. Read on, please.
Verse 8, and if the woman will not be willing to follow thee, then thou shalt be clear from this vow, this oath. Only bring not my son thither again. And the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master, and sware to him concerning that matter.
Did you see what he said? Did you see what the scripture says? It says the servant Eleazar, who's a grown man, who was the captain of Abraham's house, he put his hand under Abraham's thigh, took the oath, but the scriptures describe Abram as his master. That's deep. It described Abram as his master, as his Lord. Too many males today walk around with pride and arrogance in their heart, and they don't want to even give the appearance that they're under another man. They don't even want to they don't even want you to begin to think that this man is the boss of me. Because he ain't. They want to make it known. They standoffish, they separate-ish, they try to keep their distance so we don't want to make a mistake over here and think that this man is my master. And at the same time, they'll tell you that this man is righteous. This man is an exuberant servant of the Almighty, but yet he ain't my master. I'm my own master. I'm the controller of everything over here. And that's wickedness, family. That's not how we're supposed to do things. Too many of us today, we walk around with pride and arrogance. We got chips on our shoulders of ego. And that's not how a righteous man should be walking. That's not how truly humble men move. Read on, please. Got to prove to you I ain't got no master. I'm my own man. Okay. Read on, please.
Verse 10, and the servant took 10 camels of the camels of his master and departed, for all the goods of his master were in his hand. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia unto the city of Nahor.
He went to Mesopotamia unto the city of Nahor, where Abraham was from. Nahor was his brother. Nahor was, I think his other brother name was Haran. One of them, Nahor, I think, died, or Haram died and left Lot. Abram raised Lot. And you'll find all this, I think, if I'm correct, you'll find all this in the 11th chapter of the book of Genesis. And if I'm wrong, y'all come back and tell me, please, so I can straighten up my understanding again. Read on, please.
And he made his camels to kneel down without the city by a well of water at the time of the evening.
He made his camels to kneel down by the well of the water at the wall at the time of the evening. The time, read on, please.
Even the time that women go out to draw water.
Wait a minute. Isn't drawing water a heavy job? It's a strenuous job. Why would the women be the ones going out getting the water? You know why the women was going out getting the water? Because even back then, the women was taking care of the household. They were taking care of the household. They would work the fields. They would go get water. Women were women back then. Today, women just want to sit around and do nothing. I'm talking about do absolutely not women, not females. Females want to just look good and play the part of being somebody's wife, but don't want to put the work in to earn the title of being a man's wife. And that's a difference. Now, that's not everybody, absolutely not. And that's not nobody here. No, we ain't got nothing but exceptional women here. All our women are top notch. That's them other females that I'm talking about, them females that ain't here, that don't come to our classes. Those are the ones I'm talking about. A lot of them just want to look good, want to act like they women, like they Proverbs 31 women. How does sister say, Sister Tara, P31 women. They want to act like they P31 women, but they're not. But here you see that this is talking about a certain characteristics in this young lady where she had a certain type of work ethics about herself. Now, let me clear it up for you so that you understand. I'm not saying that a wife has to get a job outside the house. That's not what I'm saying. But any work that takes place inside the home to keep the home running, she can do. It's her responsibility, actually, to do those things. But we've gotten so far away from our nationality and how we're and the customs of our people as to how we used to live. We've gotten so far away from it that you tell a wife she ain't got to go out the house to work. She don't even want to do no work in the house. A lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them. A lot of females just want to look pretty, get their nails done, sit back, wear pretty clothes, get the extensions, the weaves, the eyelashes, and the makeup, and look good. And that's it. Because those kind of women, those kind of females think their job is about sex. But if a man has chosen you and he's chosen you as a wife and it's only for sex, then he himself need to be reevaluated. Because a woman is supposed to be chosen for the reason of purpose. She serves a great purpose in your life. And sex ain't got nothing to do with it unless you're talking about regenerating seed, bringing forth children in life, in the world. But that can't be her only job. She cannot be there just for that purpose. We already dealt with the courtship process. All these things should have been discussed during the courtship. What is my purpose for you in this lifetime? And if he tells you, I just got you for sex, then you should have been a concubine or something less than a concubine. You could have just stayed on the sideline. You have to serve a greater purpose in a man's life and not just sex. Understand that, family. And if you're in a relationship right now with a gentleman and you don't know what your purpose is, then you need to ask so that you can get some clarification. And if he says, I only got you here to reproduce children by you, then you need to reevaluate your contract. Of course, that's a woman's job. But as a wife, you're also responsible for everything in that household, taking care, running, management. Everything in that household is your responsibility. But a lot of people don't want to do that. You better get me a maid. I seen one video where a little young lady said she ain't doing no housework. She wasn't raised for that. That ain't why she got married. She wants a maid. Read on, please.
Verse 12. And he said, O Creator, most high power of my master Abraham, I pray thee, send me good speed this day, and show kindness unto my master Abraham. Behold, I stand here by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city come out to draw water. And let it come to pass that the damsel to whom I shall say, Let down thy pitcher, I pray thee that I may drink. And she say, Drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. Let the same be she that thou hast appointed for my servant Isaac.
Stop for a second.
Isaac.
Stop for a second. Hold your place. I don't know where you're at, but I have to talk about this. Do you see what Eleazar just said? He said, Elohim of my master Abraham. And now I want y'all to hear this. He said, Elohim of my master Abraham. He prayed in the name of the Most High of Abraham, and he wasn't even a Hebrew. So that means he could have been serving any deity or whoever he was serving, but he put his own mind to the side, his own desires to the side of what he thought was right. He put all that to the side and he prayed to the power of Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all see that? Males today walk in a completely different spirit. Even females today walk in a completely different spirit. I remember one day my wife told me many years ago, and I'm only 39 3/4, so it was a little while ago, just a couple days ago, a couple months ago, all right? She said to me, when I pray at night, I pray to your power, and that touched my heart. That made me feel like, wow, somebody believes in me. Somebody believes that I am sent by the Almighty with a message for his people to do a job by the Creator for his people. Somebody accepted that. She did. And to this day, she still do. To this very day. And that was when I was a couple months ago, younger, long time ago. But it touched me. And now when I read it in the scriptures and I see where Eleazar prayed to the power of Abram, and then he says, my master. Wow. He gave Abraham great accolades. So do you see, if we just walk in the ways of the Almighty, our righteousness will be seen by others, and they will acknowledge it before the Almighty. Now, Abram was probably full of sin, had little errors and little ways. Nobody probably knew about him because he walked in righteousness and he was overshadowed with righteousness. Didn't mean he was perfect, but it means that every intent that he had from his heart, it issued out in a way of righteousness. And that's how we're supposed to be today, especially when we're taking a wife. And as sisters who are looking for a husband, you should be demonstrating that same behavior even today. There should be no question as to your desires to be married to a man. You're supposed to already know your position. Read on, please.
For thy servant Isaac.
Chapter and verse, please.
Oh, sorry. Genesis chapter 24, verse 14. And let it come to pass that the damsel to whom I say, Let down thy pitcher, I pray to thee, and I may drink. And she shall say, Drink, and I will give thy camels to drink also.
He told the Creator exactly what his plan was. Please let this happen. How many times do you talk to the Most High and tell the Most High what you won't do, what you will do, if he will do a certain thing? He does his certain thing, and then you change up your whole plan. Read on, please.
Let the same be she that thou hast appointed for my servant Isaac, and thereby shall I know that thou hast showed kindness unto my master.
Now, look what he says. He says, let her be the one whom ye have appointed for my servant Isaac, for your servant Isaac. He just gave Isaac great accolades, which means that Isaac himself, who learned from Abraham, was a hell of a man. he was even a hell of a man. He walked in a certain way. He conducted himself a certain way. If not, then this man wouldn't be speaking so highly of him. Today, we look for perfection in individuals. They got to be spotless. They could have like no other life, as if they just was born yesterday. No error, no mistakes, no learning stages in life. Not that they're still there from the mistakes that they made years ago, but they couldn't have none of that. When we look to flesh and we decide to judge flesh, we don't judge flesh based on the condition they are today. We judge them based on how they were 20 and 30 and 40 years ago, because we understand that a lot of people don't change. But when you're looking in the way of righteousness to determine the characteristics and traits of a man, what he did 30 and 40 years ago was just the beginning of that man. If the Most High has blessed his life and he got to live another 10, 15 years later, judge him from then till now for the improvements in character that he has made. And then you can almost get in touch with who he really is. Then you will see who this man is. You know, many years ago, I used to practice Christianity. You know, I walked into Jehovah's Witnesses' place many years ago. I used to be a Jehovah's Witness. I never was. My mother used to take me into these places. She raised me as a Jehovah's Witness. And then we went from Jehovah's Witnesses to Christianity. Me being in my youth, I learned what my mother taught me, and that's what I did. So I did what my mama told me to do, in so many words. When I became an adult, I began my request to the Creator to show me how he wanted me to serve him. My first question was about the New Testament. And rather, this was the Creator, he was the Creator. That was my own personal journey. I needed to know those things. And what the Creator revealed to me, he may not reveal to you. But what he revealed to me brought me to where I am today. And I accept that. But now if people look back on my life from way back yonder ago and determine that this is who I am based on what the travels that I traveled, then they won't see me. They won't see who I am. They won't have an understanding as to what I've been through to develop and make me into the young man that I am today. So when we learn to look at people, we can learn all their history and their past behavior, and we can hold that in the back of our minds to see if that person is still present in them today. But if we don't see any indication of that person, let it go. Don't try to make them out. Yeah, I remember 20 years ago, he slept with this girl in the backseat of the car out in the park. 20 years ago? Are you for real? Was he serving the Creator 20 years ago? Well, no, he wasn't, but why are you bringing it up, bro? Well, 15 years ago, he was serving the Creator, and I seen him walking in this girl's house. Well, what does that mean? Sometimes people are so prone on trying to destroy your reputation that they grab things and pitch straws to try to take you down, as opposed to just saying, you know what, like he did with Isaac. You know what? I'm his servant. He's a great man. Recognize that and accept him. I'm his servant. And these can be people who really serve you. But because this society that we come up in, they will try to break you down and take you down and destroy you when you don't deserve to be destroyed. Read on, please. By this, I shall know that you have shown steadfast love toward my master.
Cain, verse 15. And it came to pass, before he had done speaking, that behold, Rebekah came out, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, with her pitcher upon her shoulder.
Didn't take long, did it, family? Didn't take long. Read on.
Nope. And the damsel was very fair to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her.
She was what?
A virgin.
I wasn't talking about that part. But that made it all the better. She was a virgin. She was very fair to look upon. What does that mean? That means she was a beautiful young woman. She was a beautiful young woman. And you know what? A lot of times the beauty of a woman shows, and they ain't got to open their mouth. You ain't never even got to see them. You can just hear about them. A lot of times, the beauty of a woman will travel by word of mouth through other people. And we ain't talking about her physical beauty. But she's going to demonstrate how beautiful she is just by what she does and how she does it. Now, let me get this straight, family, so you understand. I'm not talking about her physical beauty. Because I want you to notice right now, the most beautiful as women are not that attractive when you look at them with the eyes. The most beautifulest of women are not that attractive when you look at them with the eye, if that's the only way that you can see them. You have to be able to understand the real beauty in a woman, and she's about to demonstrate that to you right now. Read on, please.
Verse 16. Oh, I'm sorry, verse 17. And the servant ran to meet her and said, Let me, I pray thee, drink a little water of thy pitcher. And she said, Drink, my lord. And she hasted and let down her pitcher upon the hand.
What she said? Back that up and read that for me again, please.
Verse 18. And she said, Drink, my lord. And she hasted and let down
her pitcher. I want to back up. I want to back up to 17. I want to back up to 17, please.
Verse 17. And the servant ran to meet her and said, Let me, I pray thee, drink a little water of thy pitcher.
Can you give me some water, please? Now he ran over there. Say he ran over there to her. You run over to a female today. She clenching, she grabbing, she squeezing. She might even pull out her pistol on you or knife. He ran over to her and he said, Can you give me some water, please? Now, if you see a man sitting by the side asking you for some water, and if he's standing outside the store, he asks you for a bottle of water, and you're going into the store, what you going to say? How many of you are going to say, well, he must be really thirsty? Okay, sir, let me go get you a bag of water. And then as you go in the store, you get him a bag of water, you come out with a bag of potato chips, some healthy, wholesome potato chips. You get him a veggie burger or some other food that can help. You're going to overdo what he requested of you. How many of us young ladies today are going to show the true beauty that we possess by doing something like that? Remember, you're a representative of the Almighty. Remember that. So this man just walks up and say, hey, you can tell he in need. He ain't got no problem letting you know he in need. So when he shows you he's in need, you have the means to give. How many of you would overdo it in your way of giving to him? Or how many of you will look at him and say, you better get out of here. Go get your own. You're a man. Go get a job, you bum. How many of us would do that? See, because she showed that she was built, Rebecca. She showed that she was built out of something else. She wasn't just a beautiful thing to look at. She had a beautiful spirit to go with it. So she was a complete package. She was truly wife material. A lot of the females today need to learn how to stand up to that type of quality. See, you can only learn that from your mother. You can't watch what she do and think you're going to learn by what she physically does, because I'm a bricklayer by trade. And if I stand out there and you watch me build a house, and then you go to try to build a house, it ain't going to work that way. The only way that you can learn how to build a house is to put it in practice. The only way that a young woman can learn to be a wife is to be in practice with it from her youth. See, she could watch her mother be a good wife, but that ain't going to make her be a good wife, because she ain't going to know until she start implementing those things in her life and begin to do those things. This is showing the type of person that she naturally is. Watch what she says. He said, can you get me a little water? Watch what she does when she goes to the well. Verse 17.
Verse 17. And
18 now.
Verse 18. And she said, drink, my lord.
Now stop. He asked for some water. She gave him some water. Didn't she?
Came.
Now watch what she does next.
And she hasted and let down her pitcher upon her hand and gave him drink.
She gave him drink out of her pitcher, out of her cistern, out of her well. She gave him water. How many of you would do anything similar to that today, even close to that, the best you can dealing with this society that we're dealing with? Or would you just brush it off and say, no, he might try to hurt me and keep it moving? How many of you would make a way so that even if you had to give it to somebody else to take to him so that he could eat, so that he could drink? How many of you, not to put your life in harm's way, but when you was coming into the store, he said, hey, can you get me some water? Okay, I'll take care of it for you. Go into the store, give it to the man who worked at the store and say, sir, could you get that to the young man standing out there by the door? You can do it that way. But don't just stop with some water because he might need some food. So send him some food too. The Most High is always watching. He's always watching everything we do. So learn from this lesson, family. This is a way that you can watch the characteristics of a really, truly beautiful soul. Those people who are not watching this lesson is really missing out on some powerful teachings. Read on, please.
Verse 19. And when she had done giving him drink, she said, I will draw water for thy camels also until they have done drinking.
What'd she say? He didn't even ask for that. He didn't even ask her, would you give my camel some water? She volunteered. She overdid it. She went over and beyond to accommodate the man and his animals. So brothers, when you're looking for a wife, look for a woman that loves animals, that loves nature, that's willing to help provide for nature. See, Rebecca, she did that. She was willing to supply the needs of the animals as well. We got to keep that in mind when we're looking for a wife, because that says something special about her character. Read on, please.
Verse 20. And she hasted and emptied her pitcher into the trough and ran again unto the well to draw water. And
she hasted. She tried it. She ran. She hurried up. And she gave the camels water too. That's a beautiful soul right there. Nobody asked her to do that. She took it upon herself out of generosity and the goodness of her heart. She walks in integrity. How could she feed the man knowing he was thirsty and then don't give his animals water knowing they thirsty too? If the man thirsty, more than likely they're thirsty. Read on, please.
Verse 21. And the man wondering at her held his peace, to wit whether...
He did what? He held his peace. He was silent, looking at her saying, wow, the Creator really answered my prayers. Watch, read on, please.
And held his peace, to wit whether the Most High had made his journey prosperous or not.
So he said, wow, the Creator answered my prayer, but I'm still not sure. Let's see. Read on, please.
And it came to pass, as the camels had done drinking, that the man took a golden earring of a half a shekel weight. And
he said, see, I'm not homeless. I'm not poor. I'm not a bum. I'm not a straggler. But you didn't know that because his clothes was dirty. You didn't know that because his hair was all messed up. You didn't know that because you used the Western eyes to look at this man who asked you to give him some water just to see if you would supply the needs of him. Let me share something with y'all. Now, this is a little bit off topic, but it's very much on topic. It's a little bit out of the way, but I have a lot of respect for this individual, and I don't even know him. In Christianity, there was a preacher. I don't know the preacher's name. The preacher took over this new church. And what he did was he dressed up like a bum. He dirtied himself up, put on dirty clothes, and he laid out on the steps at the church, out the front of the steps, and put his hands out to beg for money. All those people went into that church and nobody gave him a dime. Nobody. New church, new pastor comes in. Him, the same guy. He goes up to the podium, just like the bum that they saw him on the street. Looking like the bum. And the people saying, get down. The pastor's coming. Get out of here. Security comes up. They try to arrest the man. He says, well, wait a minute. What are you doing? They said, you don't supposed to be here. This place is reserved for our spiritual leader. And we got a new spiritual leader coming today, and you got to go. You can sit down there, but you got to get out of here. He says, I am that man. He says, I am that one. What? They checked his credentials, found out he was the one, and boy, he cut it loose. He had a story to tell. And I'm going to tell similarly his story. I don't remember his story verbatim, but I just can imagine what it's supposed to be like. You call yourselves servants of the Most High. You say that your desire is to please the Almighty in all that you do, but yet you wouldn't feed one of your own. You wouldn't help one of your own. The first commandment is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. But yet you saw somebody in need and you refused to help them. I'm not talking about them people out there hustling, trying to get money. Because a lot of those people do that. Every time you ride by this certain spot, these certain people are out there and they're hustlers, panhandlers. That's what they do for a living. They go from corner to corner. That's what they do. But I'm talking about the neighbor that lives next door to you that you know ain't got no money for her little children to go to school because they start school next week. They don't have no clothes. They don't have no shoes. How come you're not offering something to the family? How come you're not sending an anonymous donation in their door? Why aren't you helping out those people who are not able to help themselves? But yet you call yourself righteous. You call yourself a child of the Most High. Read Isaiah 42 again. Isaiah 43 and Isaiah 44. Especially Isaiah 44, and see what your job is as a child of the Most High, as his servant. Read it again and see what it says. How you're supposed to help these people. How you're supposed to be a light to the Gentiles. How you're supposed to bring people out of the prison houses and do all these things. How are you supposed to do it? You know how you're supposed to do it? By being unselfish with the things that the Creator's placed in your possessions. That pastor cut a hole in that church, had people crying. And I can only imagine, because he pretended to be what he wasn't just to get the truth out of the individuals that he now had to teach and lead. Now, if he came in there with a three-piece suit looking all good and dug out, sparkling with diamonds and everything, people would have been all up underneath him. They would have been flocking to him. But he came as someone in need, and the people refused to help him. Would you have passed that test, family? Would you have stopped and said, hey, let me help you out? Because a true woman that's ready for marriage will deny herself to please her husband. A true woman ready for marriage, I'm going to say this one more time, will deny herself to make sure that her family got what they need. Did you see anything in that story where Rebecca went back and filled up her bottle and took it back home for herself? No. But what you do see is where she gave it to a stranger, where she gave it to some animals. That's what you do see. And the next thing you're going to see, she's going to be rewarded for what she did. And then he's going to say, let me go meet your father. This is deep. So much lesson in here for us to learn in our proper methods for taking a spouse. You, first of all, got to be the woman that is a great woman to be married. You got to be marriage material. You don't wait till you get married to start living your life as if you are married. You start living your life as if you are married before you become married. You understand what I'm saying to you? If somebody asks you, I came in the kitchen the other day and I asked my wife about another young lady. I said, babe, what you think about that young lady right there? Oh, she's beautiful. She got a great spirit. She had nothing but accolades, high accolades to say about this young lady. You know why? Because the young lady, even though she ain't married, she carried herself as if she is. And that's the key to this. If you ever want to be married, walk through life as if you already married. Conduct yourself as a married woman. Married women, don't sleep with other men. You understand what I'm saying to you? Married women, don't be up in men's faces. Married women, don't get their numbers out to everybody. Married women are very patient to when their husbands are waiting on them. They understand their responsibilities and duties in pleasing their husbands. You don't have no husband, so therefore you don't do that with anyone except the man in your life, your father, your uncle, your brother, any of the men, your spiritual leader. Any of them should be able to speak highly of you, how respectful and honorable you are as a young woman. But these young ladies today, they looking for a husband. They think the more flesh that they show, the quicker they're going to get a man. The more makeup they put on, the quicker they're going to get a man. The more boisterous they become on social media, the quicker they're going to get a man. I watched this young lady on social media go in and out of relationships, And I hit her up in her inbox one day. I said, sis, that's not becoming of a princess. The first thing she did was thought I was trying to come at her. Oh, no, you got too many wives, Prince. Hold, sis. Wait a minute. I didn't ask you for a courtship. I didn't even insinuate for a courtship. All I'm saying is, if you're supposed to be a princess, conduct yourself like a princess always. She don't qualify for me. So I wasn't even trying to move in that direction. But if you're supposed to be, conduct yourself a creative, fearing young woman. Conduct yourself in that manner always. She's showing all these different men that she was with. Now she ain't with nobody. She with another man. Now she ain't with nobody. I'm not saying she had sex. I'm not saying she was a harlot. But she's putting on the portrayal of being considered a harlot or promiscuous because of all these different men she had been with in the last year or maybe 2. I don't even think it was 2 years. About a year and a half maybe. At least 2 different men she was courting and in these relationships with, and she made it known. In one relationship, out. A couple months later, she in a relationship, and she out. And you see her advertising and broadcasting it. So when she's out of this relationship, you can always tell because of the post she'll put up about men, about relationships, and about how this didn't work and all that stuff. So she started showing videos where her whole body with these tights on, and she started modeling in front of the camera like, look at me, look at me. I need a husband, but look what you're doing. Look how you're putting yourself on display for the world to see. A righteous man that's worthy that you would love to be with don't want you because you're demonstrating yourself like you're for sale. And that's not how a righteous woman should conduct herself. A righteous woman should be modest. If she puts up her picture on Facebook at all, it should be with a whole lot of other people showing how she having a good time, or she should be covered up so nobody ain't lusting after her. Too many of our young ladies got all of these pictures. Let me get my lips right. Let me do my hair. Let me put my eyelashes on. And then they stand on the, and you see pictures of them all by themselves, and they be, putting on poses, trying to look good for the world. They're attracting the wrong types of men. That's not what that is. That's not how it is. You're attracting the wrong types of men. Now, I respect the fact that you're trying to demonstrate who you are, but let that be the true you and not what the world thinks you should be. And the true you should be a representative of the Almighty at all times. So if you're on social media and you're going to represent correctly. Represent how the Most High would have you to represent. And I don't know where these young Hebrew women coming out with all these bathing suits, these 2-piece bathing suits, and they think that's okay to put on social media. Like it ain't nothing wrong with it. 2-piece bathing suits, and you are Hebrew, representing the Most High. And when somebody call you on your foolishness or your BS, you get upset and talk about, you ain't my husband. You shouldn't even be in my inbox. Don't be talking to me. Y'all know the stuff y'all say. I mean, not none of y'all. I'm talking about all of them unrighteous ones. I ain't talking. Everybody here is righteous and virtuous. I know none of y'all wouldn't do none of the stuff that I'm talking about right now that these young ladies out here in the streets do. I know. The reality is that too many of us want to get married, but not enough of us want to be a wife. And there is a difference. You can want to be married, but you first must want to be a wife. In order for you to want to be a wife, you have to learn what a wife is and how to conduct yourself as a wife. Rebecca is demonstrating to us wifely characters, wifely traits and realities of a wife. Read on, please.
Genesis chapter 24, verse 22. And it came to pass, as the camels had done drinking, that the men took a golden earring of a half a shekel weight, and 2 bracelets for her hands of 10 shekels weight of gold, and said, Whose daughter art thou? Tell me, I pray thee, is there room in thy father's house for us to lodge in?
Wait a minute. Now he asked her, whose daughter are you?
And
Whose
she
daughter
said,
are you? Is there room in your father's house so he can meet her father? Is there room? Our culture is so different than what it originally was. Is there room in your father's house so that me and my crew, we can have a place to lodge? Because in the ancient days, if a stranger comes into town, you invite him in, you protect him. He don't have to be under your roof, but you should provide a place for that stranger to live. Not only that stranger, but your family or any, like for example, better example is my mother-in-law is on her way here right now. She's on her way. She might even be listening to this lesson. We took it upon ourselves to be responsible for her and where she stays and where she resides. Because when people come from out of town, this is your job and your responsibility to do so. Too many of us have gotten so far away from our culture and the things in which our forefathers have did. But here he's asking, he said, hey, whose father are you? Can I speak with him so that maybe we can go somewhere, me and my camels and my men, so that we can stay the night off the streets. Remember the story I read to you a couple weeks ago in Judges 9th chapter, where it speaks about the man who went into the city of the Benjamites. And when he went into the city of the Benjamites, nobody would give him a place to stay. Nobody. Until somebody that came from Judah saw him in the city of Benjamites and gave him a place to stay that night. They were totally out of order. And it goes on later in the story to show that that was a righteous trait and characteristic because the Benjamites were homosexuals. All the Benjamites at that time was homosexuals because they tried to have sex with the men. And then they fought for that cause and they beat up a lot of people. They were left-handed homosexuals. But what does that say? That say that if a stranger comes to your town, somebody you know you're familiar with, or somebody that you heard about, somebody that's coming for an event or a party or a situation you got going on, and you don't offer them a place to stay, in our culture, that was an insult to the individual because that's not how we did things. We will offer them people somewhere to stay or to lodge. And even if they had to pay, we would even give them half or try to reimburse them if we could, whenever we could, for the monies that they put out because they're coming to visit you. Not enough of our people are like that. I have had elders from different states who will come visit. Come on, you stay in my house. You can sleep in my room, not my bed. Ain't nobody getting in my bed, but you can sleep in my house. I got a place for you. Yeah, you come on and sleep. And it's just the way we're supposed to be with each other. But all those ancient customs have been lost. They're dead to us now. We don't move in that spirit anymore. Read on. Let's see what it says.
Cain, Genesis chapter 24, verse 24. And she said unto him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, which she bore unto Nahor. She said, moreover unto him, we have both straw and provender enough, and room to lodge in.
Now, who was Nahor? Anybody know who Nahor was?
Abraham's brother.
Abraham's brother. Nahor was Abraham's brother. That's right. And Abraham's request to the young man, to Eleazar, was that he will go to his father's house, to his kindred, and find a wife for his son of his own people. And the Most High has granted his request. Read on, please.
Verse 26. And the man bowed down his head and worshipped the Creator. And he said, Blessed be the Creator power of my master Abraham, who hath not left destitute my master of his mercy and his truth. I being in the way, the Creator led me to the house of my master's brethren. And the damsel ran and told them of her mother's house these things. And Rebekah had a brother, and his name was Laban. And Laban ran out unto the man and unto the well.
Yeah, y'all know who Laban was, right? Laban was his wife's father. That was Rachel's brother, Rebekah's brother. His name was Laban. Laban is going to eventually have two daughters that old man Jake is going to marry. So read on, please.
Okay. Verse 30. And it came to pass, when he saw the earring and bracelets upon his sister's hands, and when he heard the words of Rebekah his sister, saying, Thus spake the man unto me, that he came unto the man, and behold, he stood by the camels at the well. And he said,
Stop for a second. She came in the house, and she had these earrings and these bracelets and these rings, all this jewelry on. And she came back to her house and her family and told them everything that this man has said. Why does she have on all that jewelry? She had on all that jewelry because they came to her to take her as a wife. They had to show the family that they were able to provide for her. Y'all hear what I'm saying? A man, when he takes a wife, he has to prove to her, the wife's father, that he's fully able and capable of her provisions, either just like or better than what the father did. Y'all follow me? That is extremely important. So sisters, let me tell you something. If a man comes to you and say, I want to marry you, I want to take your hand in marriage, you make certain that that man can take better care of you than your father. Why? Let's check this out for a minute. In the book of Genesis, the Creator says, For that vein, a man shall leave his mother and his father and cleave to his woman. Right? So that meant that woman's father is really the one who's responsible for her until she takes on a husband. Now, what does that mean? That means that the woman's father, who she calls Abba, her husband now is assuming the role of her Abba, of her father. So her husband is replacing the position of her biological father in her life. So now he becomes her Abba, plus some. You follow me? He now becomes the sole protector, the sole provider of that young woman. So she should never be without a father, one way, shape, or form. If her biological father is no longer with her, then she should belong to a community of people where the spiritual leader should overshadow her and look after her, or the elders in the community should look after her. And then when she takes on another husband, her father, her original father, now gives her to him, and now he takes over that position of a father. So she should never be without whatever her father provided, whatever he did in her life, and however he took care of her. She should never be without, and she should only have in excess of whatever it was that her father already prepared her for in her life. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? And if this guy is coming and saying he wants you as a wife, cannot do these things, then I'm not so sure you will want to marry him. Maybe you might have to pass that offer up and wait to the next one. There is no reason, ever is there a reason, that you should leave your father's house to suffer and to go down and be degraded and disrespected and not be able to provide for yourself or have your husband provide for you just because he looked good or because he wanted to marry you and you didn't want to wait no longer. So you degrade yourself, or you go down, and you don't show yourself worthy of a great man. Be patient. The Most High sees your value. He knows what you're worthy of. And just because somebody asks don't mean you have to accept. That's why courtships are so important. Proper method for taking a spouse. Women, this is talking to you. And men, it's talking to you as well. Males, get your game together, get your bank up, get your cash up, because taking on a wife is a whole responsibility. You are now responsible for everything that this young lady has, needs, wants, and desires. You are responsible for the provisions, the safety, the security. All of those things are now your responsibility. You can't take this young woman, sleep with this woman, and get your way with this young woman, and then take her back home to her father and say, hey, look, I'll see you tomorrow, all right? It don't work that way. Because you're causing her to be a whore. And you're committing her to harlotry. Because you're not being a man about this situation and doing what you're supposed to do. Read on, please.
Verse 31. And he said, come in, thou blessed of the Creator. Wherefore standest thou without? For I have prepared the house and room for the camels. And the man came into the house, and he ungirded his camels, and gave straw and provender for the camels, and water to wash his feet, and the men's feet that were with him.
He gave him water to wash his feet, and the men's feet that was with him. He gave straw to the camel. He gave them a place for their roof to go under their head to protect them. Because why? This man showed that he was worthy of his daughter just financially. He didn't even get to tell him everything about himself. Read on, please.
Verse 33. And there was set meat before him to eat. But he said, I will not eat until I have told my errand. And he said, speak on.
Wow, did you see that? Now, I want y'all to see what he said. He said, I will not be pleasured in myself. I will not bring myself pleasure until I first tell you what my master has told me to do. Too many of us lose focus along the way because the journey is long. And we forget what our master tell us to do. And we bring pleasure to our own selves by partying, by dressing the way we want, eating what we want to eat, and going places that ain't got nothing to do with our mission and our journey and our servitude to that master. Too many of us are blinded with the lights that are out here in the streets today that we can't see. We get consumed and overwhelmed and sidetracked by doing unrighteous acts. Like, here's an example. When you first came into this way of life and you learned you was an Hebrew Israelite and you learned it isn't but one creator, one God, and you began to serve him. What happened to that energy and that zeal that you had back then when you began to serve him to the best of your ability when you first learned? What happened to it? You no longer do it. Not you, but you. Some of those who out there, whoever this fit, let it fit. But you don't hold on to that zeal anymore like you used to when you first learned. You let it go. And you know how you let it go? Because you got sidetracked with worldly things. You forgot the sincerity and the commitment to the Almighty. He said, I'm not getting sidetracked. Before I bring myself some pleasure and some to sustain myself, I want to first tell you why I am here and what my mission is. Read on, please.
Verse 34. And he said, I am Abraham's servant. And the Lord had blessed my master greatly, and he has become great. And he hath given him flocks and herds and silver and gold and men servants and maidservants and camels and asses.
Now this is Abraham who he's describing. He haven't even talked about Abraham's son. He only talking about Abraham. But if the father got all this, then more than likely the son got it too. Read on.
And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old, and unto him he hath given all that he has.
Oh, you see that? Read on.
And my master made me swear, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife to my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell, but thou shalt go unto my father's house, and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son. And I said unto my master, Peradventure the woman will not follow me. And he said unto me, The Creator before whom I walk will send his angel with thee, and prosper thy way. And thou
Do you
shalt take.
see the confidence he has in his master? He said, the creator in whom I serve. What he said, I want to read, before whom I walked. The creator before whom I walked will send the angel with you. The creator before whom Abraham walked will send his angel with Eleazar to make things happen so that he will know that this is the woman. Read on, please.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to anymore.
Okay. All right, verse 39, we'll pick up on 39. I said to my master, perhaps the woman will not follow me. But he said to me, the Most High, before whom I have walked, will send his angel with you and prosper your way. Ye shall take a wife for my son from my clan, my family, and from my father's house. Then you will be free from my oath when you come to my clan. And if they will not give her to you, you will be free from my oath. So the family had the right to say no. We're not going to have that. But the important thing was that our father Abraham followed the proper chain of command by going to the man of the household to request an arranged marriage for his son. Do y'all see that? They ain't never met. All they knew was Abraham was of their family. That's all they knew. They ain't never ran into Abraham that I know of. They never ran into him. But yet they knew when he came coming and he had all this, you can't perpetrate that. He had all this. So what they said was, let's go ask the young lady. They took and put it in her hands. Too many people today want to make a decision for the young lady. Now, I'm not talking about you might want to encourage her. If she says no, and then you say, well, you sure? You might want to think about that. I respect that. You might want to think about that. You sure? Because, yeah, you might. I would think that you should. Sometimes you got to encourage them to see what they can't see because they still might be looking with the wrong eyes. You follow me? Sometimes you got to help them along the way. And in this particular instance, they ain't going to have to because she already been touched by that spirit. And once that word entered into her, that opportunity came up. She brought them back to her house already knowing what they wanted. They gave her the gifts when he pulled them out. He gave them to her. She had them on when she came through the door. So she already knew what this was about. She had a lot of time to consider. And let's see what she says. Read on, please. Oh, I'm the reader now, ain't I? Real funny, Prince. I think I'm on 42. And I came today to the spring and said, oh, Most High, the Elohim of my master Abraham, if now you are prospering the way that I go, behold, I am standing by the spring of water. Let the virgin who comes out to draw water, to whom I shall say, please give me a little water for your jar, from your jar to drink. He didn't just ask for it from a jar, he asked for it from her jar. And who will say unto me, drink, and I will draw for your camels also. He was real specific what he asked for. Are you that specific when you ask the Creator for something? Or you real broad in general that even if you didn't ask, it was going to happen anyway? No, you got to be specific. It says, let her be the woman whom the Most High has appointed for my master's son. And that's how you knew she was the woman. He said, behold, Before I had finished speaking in my heart, behold, Rebekah came out with her water jars on her shoulder, and she went down to the spring and drew water. I said to her, please let me drink. She quickly let down her jar. She quickly let down her jar from her shoulder and said, drink, and I will give your camels drink also. He says, so I drank, and she gave the camels drink also. Then I asked her, I said, whose are you? Who do you belong to? Who is your father? She said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Micah bore to him. So I put the ring on her nose. Y'all hear this? Tokens of marriage. I put the ring on her nose. Tokens of marriage. And the bracelets on her arms. Tokens of marriage. Then I bowed my head and I worshiped the Most High and blessed the Most High, the Elohim of my master Abraham, who had led by the right way to take the daughter of my master's kinsman for his son. Now then, if you are going to show steadfast love and faithfulness to my master, tell me. If not, tell me that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. That means basically let me know what I need to do. If you're going to show favor to my master, then tell me. And if you're going to reject my master's request, tell me that also, just so I'll know what it is that I have to do. Now watch what Laban does. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, the thing has come from the Most High. We cannot speak to you bad nor good. Now I want you to know that Laban was a pagan. Laban didn't worship the Almighty. Laban has statues and idols and images that he served. But he said, the thing has come from the Most High. We cannot speak to you bad or good. He said, we ain't even going to try to go into our own minds to tell you your answer. What we're going to do is let the Spirit work through the young lady and see what she says. Behold, Rebekah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be the wife of your master's son, as the Most High has spoken. When Abram's servant heard these words, he bowed himself to the earth. Watch, y'all, watch this. They already gave their permission. He bowed himself to the earth before the Most High, and the servant brought out jewels of silver and of gold and garments and gave them to Rebekah. That's the price of a dowry. That's the price of a dowry. They're paying for that woman. But he gave them to her. He didn't give them to the family. He gave them to her. The first thing he did was gave them to her. All right. He also gave her brother and to her mother costly ornaments. Then, after giving it to her, he turns around and gives jewels to them as well as a gift. Now, how many of you males out here have taken your wife in that manner, or even a manner even close to that? How many of you have said to the father of the woman that you want to marry, here's a gift for you as well, as an exchange. Here, young lady, this is for you because I want you to be my wife. And to her mother, here, Ima, this is for you. This is for your daughter as well. See, women don't want to accept this. A lot of women don't want to accept it, but this is a reality. A woman is your property. You own her. But all I do is caution you that if she walks in the ways of the Most High, you better do right by her. You better do right by her. Because if she got an innocent spirit, a good spirit, a virtuous woman, she walks in her integrity, and she's a great wife. If you abuse her, the Most High is going to make sure, boy, you better watch out. You better watch out. Especially you call yourself a servant of the Most High. You talk about you living in righteousness, and you abuse one of the Most High's sanctified ones, his holy ones, his set apart ones. You abuse that, you in trouble. couple of weeks ago, y'all heard me in class when I was talking about this same subject, and I said that if the woman that you decide to be engaged with, her mother and father pass away, and you have not taken her to be your wife yet. Let's say her father passes away, not her mother, but her father passes away, but yet y'all never consolidated the marriage and say, all right, she's your wife. Y'all just courting. Y'all in a courtship. And that woman lives with her mother and her other sister, and they're all underage except for the mother. And you, being a man who's courting his daughter, and you decide you want to take his daughter for your wife, he gives his approval for y'all to court. He passes away. Do you know that that whole family is your responsibility now? Everything that man was that man's responsibility, you should be taken care of now. You should show your way as being a man. Now, that's not law. I can't pull up the law and show you right now and just thinking where that is a duty of the creator, and the creator says you must do that. But what it is a certain code of ethics that men move in, a certain way that men move. And if you say that I'm going to marry this woman to her father, and her father leaves and you still decide to marry that woman, you don't just marry her. You marry her mother and you marry her sister, and you become her sister's covering and her mother's covering until the time when her mother gets another husband or dies or takes, and in our society, it's a totally different thing because a mother will take care of herself and she just become anything, but that ain't the way it's supposed to go. In righteousness, you're supposed to become the mother's covering, the sister's covering, and you're supposed to cover them and protect them. If there's no other men to do it, you have to do it. If you decide to marry that young lady. If she doesn't have any brothers, it's totally your responsibility to do. If she got brothers, then her brother's supposed to come in and step up and take the plate, and then take the position of the father, provide for the family, and decide whether the woman can go with you or not. But he shouldn't disannul the agreement that the father already entered into. But as a man, there's a certain code of ethics that men move by. And you should already know without anyone telling you that you have taken over that position. Nobody should have to tell you that. That's the difference between men and males. What a male would do is the male say the daddy's dead. I'm going to take advantage of her now. Ain't nobody to say I can and can't do nothing. He going to smooth talker. He going to get the twat, and then he going to be out. He might even get her pregnant, then he going to be out. But a man would not do such a thing. Because a man knows that the Most High is always watching. And a man knows that the Most High will deal with him if he took that girl's innocence and then didn't complete the deal. The Creator would get him and rip him up. I wouldn't want to be that person, that's for sure. So let's go down. Verse 54. Genesis 24, verse 54. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank, and they spent the night there. When they arose in the morning, he said, send me away to my master. Her brother and her mother said, let the young woman remain with us a while, at least 10 days. After that, she may go. Now watch this. They're going to leave this decision totally up to her in the end. But he said to them, do not delay me. Please don't hold us up. I know that's what you want to do, but please don't do this. Since the Lord, since the Most High, since the Creator, not the Lord, since the Most High has prospered my way, send me away that I may go to my master. They said, let us call the young woman and ask her. They finally asked this young woman what she wanted to do. Why? Because she has to freely give herself to her husband. And it can't be a forced thing. Let me share this with you, family. And I know a lot of you might not understand this, but this is the way that it should be. I'm not going to say this is the way that it has to be, but this is the way that it should be. If you're working with an arranged marriage and the woman don't want to go with you right now, and she's forced to go, then you take her. She'll go. You make her go. But don't have your way with her until she's willing to accept you into her. Do y'all follow what I'm saying to you? You take this young woman out of her father's house, you take her to your house, you give her space, you get her clothes, you feed her food, you set her up in a place, and you show her the type of man that you are and how you move in that proper spirit. You do that for as long as you have to. Do not be overburdensome on her and make her feel forced or pressured to give in to intercourse with you. Dude, she's not a slave woman in that sense of the word. So don't force her to do something that is so intimate and so special and passionate. She would feel like she's being the R word, and that wouldn't make a good wife. Okay? That wouldn't make a good wife. Give it time. Be patient. Use intelligence, use craftiness, use skills, use patience, use wisdom. Use everything you got to use to allow her to get comfortable with your presence. You got to remember, this is something new. Also, you're dealing with a virgin. You're not dealing with a hoochie mama who had 54 guys that she'd been with before she met you. You're dealing with a woman that has never known a man. Be patient with her. Be patient. Walk with her slowly and teach her along the way. You understand what I'm saying to you? Be patient and gentle and loving and kind. Now, I ain't saying you got to tell her you love her. That ain't what I'm saying. But be loving. Show her that you're concerned about her emotions and how she feels and how she receives this. Show her that this is real to you. But not enough of us do that. A lot of us just get it. Oh, you minds now. Shut up, sit down, and be quiet. What I say? Bang. Do it. No, that's not how you do this. You got to be kind, patience. You got to be stern. At the same time, you got to be understanding and compassionate. And a lot of us need to learn that. So what they say, go get her and let's ask her and see if she may go. And this is what happens. So they went and they called Rebekah and said to her, will you go with this man? And she said, I will go. She said, I will go. What's the Hebrew word for I will go? What's that? Holek is to go, to leave. So Alek, maybe? Alek, I'll go, I will go. So they sent away Rebekah, their sister. Now watch this. They sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rebekah and said to her, our sister, may you become thousands of tens of thousands, and may your offspring possess the gates of who hate him. Now, let me read that part again, because I want y'all to understand what happened. These wasn't no poor people that we're talking about. These people was well off. Their daughter had a maid servant. And if she didn't have one prior to that, they gave her one. They said, well, hold up. We see all these riches, but guess what? We're not poor. Here, take your maid servant with you. And she went with a maid servant. They called it her nurse. That was somebody to wait on her. So she was a little royalty anyway. And Abram's servant and his men, they all left and they blessed Rebekah. Her family blessed her. Then Rebekah and her young woman arose. So Rebekah and her younger woman arose. How many of us today, being a female, how many of y'all have young women who serve you today? How many of y'all are walking in the culture of our forefathers? So Rebekah, the woman, and her young woman arose and rode on the camels and followed the man. Thus the servant took Rebekah and went his way. Now Isaac had returned from Beer Laharoa and was dwelling in the Negeb, in the valley, in the open field. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field toward evening. Did you see that? That's a powerful statement right there. That's one of the best times to make prayer and focus and pray to the Almighty. In the evening, as soon as the sun is going down, early in the morning, 12 o'clock at night. Those are some powerful times to have a one-on-one with the Almighty. And he went out to make prayer in the evening, and he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, there were camels coming. Now he was going out to go to the Most High to have a conversation with the Almighty. They say to meditate, to pray. But that shows you the type of man Isaac was. He went out to go and approach, to reach out to the Creator. And he lifted up his eyes. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes. And when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from the camel and said, now watch what she does after she's told what she's told. And she said to the servant, who is that man walking in the field to meet us? The servant said, it is my master. So she took her veil and covered herself. Modesty. Modesty. Do y'all see what I'm saying? This woman was from head to toe a princess. From head to toe, she walked in righteousness. And her father was a pagan. But she moved with a certain integrity about herself as if she was already married. And she wasn't. That's how she conducted herself. Can y'all hear this message that's being brought forward? Proper methods for taking a spouse. That's what today's lesson is about. The best thing you can do as a woman is to prepare yourself to meet a prince. Be ready, be right. Be the very best version of yourself. So when he does come, you're ready for him. And it's not a whole lot of adjustments that needs to take place. It ain't no whole lot of arguing. It ain't no whole lot of fussing. It ain't no whole lot of fighting. We understand the program and we with it. Make it happen. Genesis 24:66. And the servant told Isaac all the things that he had heard and that he had done. Then Isaac brought her. Now watch what Isaac did. Isaac brought her into the tent of Sarah, his mother, and he took Rebekah, and she became his wife. And he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Do y'all see what's going on? So after all that, he put her into the tent and he took her to be his wife. He had no girlfriend. He ain't have sex with her and sent her back home to her father's house. He ain't do none of that crazy stuff. He fully covered her and enveloped her into his program. There's some deep stuff, family. Proper methods for taking a spouse. And I pray that you have grabbed and took some pertinent information from this to helping your development of finding your mate that is best for you. May the Most High be praised. Abba, would you like to speak?
Shalom, Prince. That was a very great and inspiring message. You're a great teacher, and you're a very passionate teacher. Because you was getting it in on this lesson. I got to give it to you. But again, like I say, the Torah is instructions, gives us a very pertinent lesson on how we as men ought to move, how we are to carry ourselves, to prepare ourselves to take a wife, to take an Isha, and then even how the woman herself should be, her mental preparation, her physical preparation, to be ready to take an Ish. And so, you can't argue with the word. You can't argue with Torah. And so I do appreciate this lesson because even as the young lady said, Titi Israel, she said, like even us, the older of us, there's still great things to learn from the lesson. Like say, there's always something to learn. You're never too, when you get to the point where you're too old to learn, you're done. You're done. But great lesson, great presentation. And phenomenal information brought forth. I pray that that those that are listening truly take heed and hearken to what's being said, And even as a lesson, I did want to say this, that when you share the lesson, if you share it multiple times, it'll refresh in your feed. So you share a few times throughout the class. That helps it to stay in the algorithm as well. And so that someone may catch it later or whatever. But it does help the lesson get out, even because people need to hear this. People need to hear this. Great lesson. Great lesson. And I appreciate
May the Most High be praised. Toda Rabbah. May the Most High be praised. May the Most High be praised. So much to learn, so much to do, so much to know. And this is important. Laban raised him right. It's very important. Very important. All right, family. Do we have any questions? Any comments, anyone? Any questions? Any comments?
Can I agree with Abba Matthias? Abba, awesome lesson. I haven't really thought about this story in like relating it to our today's time courtship. When you really break it down verse by verse, it was a straight courtship. And that, well, in a way, they didn't spend much time together like how we would do it now, but there were steps in place. Each step was followed. And one of the most important steps was that the woman, like you kept emphasizing, the woman had to choose, right? It wasn't forced or anything like that. And I think a lot of women find themselves in forced marriages rather than voluntary marriages where they freely give themselves to their husbands. And maybe that's just like a whole separate conversation with that whole, sex is marriage thing, because I know that's a line that's used in this community a lot. So that could be a separate class if you deem it worthy. But I think I never thought about this story as a courtship type thing, but it totally is. And I like the way that you broke it down for the people, each verse. So amazing work in Toda Rabbah.
Al-Dabar, may the Most High be praised. More so than a courtship, it was an arranged marriage. It was an arranged marriage with a whole process in how things should work in an arranged marriage. And there were so many key points in the lesson that we had to take heed. How can we ignore it as if we don't see it? And it's right there. It was very strategically placed in place, very professionally done, very spiritually felt. It was the Most High was working his works through the entire portion, even up to the last portion where she accepted and said, yes, I'll go. Even up to that very last moment, the Most High was doing his thing. Are there any other comments or questions, family?
Kane, yes, Sheila. Did her father, I forgot his name. Abraham.
That was her brother, Laban.
Okay, so Laban was doing the speaking for the father?
Yes, he was dead. The father was gone.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I must have been dealing with our son.
Yeah,
I didn't hear.
Bethuel and Laban. They were the ones there.
Okay.
You had a question?
Well, the question was why didn't her father speak? Why didn't the servant speak to the father? Because he was speaking to the sons. I mean, he was speaking to the son and her brothers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, her father was dead. Her father was dead. He was gone.
Okay.
All right. There's a question on the floor. Is it too late for middle-aged women to be hopeful in being considered for marriage? Abba, you want to answer that?
No, it's not too late at all. The key thing is to continue to carry yourself as an upright woman of Yah, and continue to stay in that position. And again, it's about positioning, positioning yourself staying faithful to the Creator, walking upright before the Creator, and I do believe that that the Creator would definitely send that person your way. He has someone for you.
Absolutely. May the Most High be praised. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Moray. Wow, Brown Moray, huh? You just taught me how the oldest took the place of a father's. That's what's up. May the Most High be praised. I got you. Yes, and absolutely. I would agree with Abba. You know, too many older women tend to give up on the possibility of being married. They tend to give up on that possibility because they think they're too old. They're set in their ways. But there's always somebody older than you looking for a tenderoni just like you. Looking for a tenderoni. But you got to be ready for the man that's right as opposed to what you think is right. That's a problem why a lot of our people are single today. Because a lot of our people are always looking for what they think they want or need in their lives. And the Most High knows better than you. The Most High may bring that man. He might be 15 years older than you. So you're a good 50, 51. That man might be 65, 70 years old. But he's a hell of a man. And he's ready for you. And your soul needs a man like that. But you looking for the shorty, the young boy 55, 56. And the boy 55 and 56 looking for the girl 21, 22, 28, 29, even 30 maybe. He looking for the young John, young. But you looking for him, and then you wondering why you single. I learned something a long time ago, and that thing was you should take advantage and get the one that want to be with you. Because when you got to put yourself out there for the one you want that really don't want you, usually that marriage ain't going to last long. But if you find someone who wants to be your wife or wants to be your husband, and you give them that opportunity to do so, man, that's a match made in heaven. Because they are already inclined towards you. The other person, you got to impress them. You got to go overboard. You got to show them all these things. And man, it's too much work. Let the Most High do the work and let him bring you the one that's already made for you. Let him do the work and let him find the one that's already made for you. So sometimes, family, we got to stop thinking we know already. Let the Most High show us his divine plan, just like the whole lesson today. The whole lesson. Abraham said that the Creator shall send his angel before you. He should prepare the way. So the angel had to call the woman in her spirit and cause her to do those things, which she was already receptive to because she was a good character. She was a great candidate. She was a wonderful, terrific woman. So he called her already to cause her to fall in alignment, just like you older sisters can have a man that the Creator know you need in your life to bring you to your completeness and your fullness. Just don't think you already got the answer. Let the Most High show you the answer. And I say that to all older women and older men. Let the Most High deliver to you who is meant for you. From Laurel, Hallelujah. Go ahead, teach, Prince. Teach. You cooking with gas. Hot and captivating study. The Most High is pleased. Appreciate, love it. Total Rabbi to the Most High. Thank you, Most High. To the Most High be praised forever and ever. Hallelujah. Okay. May the Most High be praised. All right. Sis says, I was laughing at because I had a crush. Well, see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? She said, I was laughing because I had a crush on a 75-year-old. He was 14 years older than myself. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So how did I just happen to say that? Maybe that's the Creator trying to tell you something. Listen, y'all got to stop playing with this king. This king is real. And y'all got to understand that. Told her my parents have passed on, but my son is such a father. He's very particular, and he should be because you're his mother. He should be. The man is going to spoil the heck out of your sister, oh, TT. Out of you, Sister TT. Yeah, he gonna spoil you, all right. Look out. He's 21 years older than me. See what I'm talking about? There you go. Nice to be here. May the Most High be praised. You can come anytime, and I hope you enjoyed the lesson today. All right? All right. Any other questions? Any other comments, family? Because this lesson done busted up for 2.5 hours, but that's okay because y'all are well worth it. And I really like to hear y'all thoughts. Please share with me some of your thoughts. Tell me what you got out of the lesson. Tell me how it affected your life, how it helped you to come out of the Shabbat learning something new to help your life after the Shabbat. Tell me a little bit about it, family. Let's talk before we close it out. We only got a few more minutes. Talk to me. Tell me what's going on. Tell me how it helped. And Sister TT, I got you. I understood your portion. You're going to go look that guy up and find his number and say, hey, come here, young man. I understand that. So anyone else?
Shalom. Are we doing a part 3 about divorce?
Yeah, we can.
Or is that just a topic we should just talk
did
about?
Marriage today. First, we did the courtship. We did the marriage. So maybe next week can be about the divorce, the whole divorce process.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to tell you right now, divorce should be something that should be shunned. No
Absolutely.
Israelite, no Hebrew should be entering into a marriage already thinking about divorce.
Okay.
All right. May the Most High be praised. Well, we could do that next week. The lesson is already prepared. Excuse me. Any questions, family?
Did I hear you correctly when you said, well, when you were reading that Abraham's servant, what was his name again?
Eleazar.
Oh, Eleazar. Because it didn't say his name, but maybe it said it later. But anyway, Eleazar offered nose rings.
Yeah, nose rings, earrings. These was tokens of marriage. Remember, I was telling you all about tokens of marriage. We wear them on our finger usually, rings on our fingers. But when he offered them as nose rings and as bracelets, and I think it was another thing, 3 things I think he might have offered. But all these jewelries was ornaments, letting people know that you're married.
Okay.
Tokens of marriage. Anyone else? Any other questions? Any other comments? No? Y'all done? All right. Abu, do you want to say anything before we close out?
Again, just appreciate you for the lesson, Prince. It was definitely a great lesson. Much needed. You could tell by the responses. And again, I pray that there are many more that catch it later so that we can keep an eye out, maybe in the responses that someone else can benefit. They may not catch it now, but hopefully they'll catch it later. So again, great lesson, well broken down and well brought forth. Appreciate you. Shalom.
May the Most High be praised. May the Most High be praised. And family, one thing I want y'all to keep in mind is that Israelite is a nation that's supposed to have husbands and wives. And if we got single individuals, then they need to be hooking up some kind of way to try to see if we can work this out. If the woman is single, don't be afraid or ashamed, sisters, to marry a man that already got a wife. Don't be ashamed of that because this is our culture. Our people did this for eons and eons of years. So don't be ashamed. My only advice to you is be careful that he's a righteous man, as righteous as possible. Because a lot of dudes with more than one wife, they all on stamps. They all getting government assistance and they all take care of him. That happens too often. And I see it all the time. May the Most High be praised. The most important thing is to put the Most High Elohim first, and then we, Yisrael, can have a happy marriage. Absolutely. TT talking about she's shy. Yeah, okay. Keep on being shy. You're going to miss out on your blessing. All right. So if there's no further questions or comments, family, Bram, see if you can find that scripture for me where it speaks about Eleazar. I think it's in 14, 15. It might be in 15 or 16, I think, when it speaks about Eleazar, just so that they'll know who he is, his full name. And if you don't find it, it's fine, because I'll grab it and show her. This supports possibility. Sis, I want you to know this is way past possibility. This is way past possibility. Yes. I pray that you have, Sister Opal. Zanta, I pray that you have. But this is way past possibility. This is in the realm of reality. All of these things can be. A lot of times, family, y'all got to realize people are already looking at you, trying to see if they can size you up to be a good fit in their lives. People are already looking on the men and the women's side. People are already looking. But part of the problem we have is that people are afraid to take that step and say, hey, what do you think about such and such? Would you be considering this? Would you be considering that? People are hesitant in doing that because they're waiting for you to do it. I suggest that if that's in your spirit, you'll be the one to initiate that conversation. You'll be the one to make that phone call. Get on the phone and say, hey, yo, what's up, man? What you ever think about this? Think, hey, sis, would you consider? Reach out, make that call, make it happen. You never know. That person could be sitting back waiting for you. That person could be the same individual that's thinking the same thoughts that you having in your mind, waiting for you to reach out, waiting for you to call them. And you like, well, I got to be careful. I'm scared. And if you're not sure, reach out to somebody in leadership that's connected with that individual and have them ask the question. Let them reach out to the individual just to pass it by them to see what they think. And if they're in agreement and you all can occur, then we can start tying these knots together so we don't have to have so many single individual brothers and sisters out here in this place that we call Yisrael. All right. So don't be ashamed, don't be afraid, don't be embarrassed. Just keep yourself in the form of righteousness. And like the brother said, the Most High comes first. And if you got the Most High under control, which means that you're living your life to serve him to the best of your ability, finding a husband or being a good wife is a walk in the park. Because the Most High says in the scriptures, in the book of Genesis, the 3rd chapter, he says to the woman, your desire should be to your husband. He says to the woman, your desire should be to your husband. He never says that. He never says that to the man. He says it to the woman. He says, women, your desire should be to your husband. And that's what we have to remember. So if there aren't any other questions, any other comments, we're going to, let me just make this change real quick. We're going to close out our lessons. We're going to close out our lesson for the day. Just give me 1 second to get this here all across the board. If there are no more questions, no more comments. Is there a comment just popped up? She says, I dwell in a remote area with family responsibilities. It's a process. I am paying attention, and I believe you are. I truly believe you are. And it's good that you live the way that you live in a remote area. I'm not going to ever tell you that that's a bad thing, because it's not. And you are a very unique woman. with a special character and special traits. And I know you carry yourself as a woman, as a woman, as a princess, as a queen, somebody who's worthy of a man, a prince, someone who can walk in righteousness and truth and run the household as a respectful, honorable man who walks in his integrity. You know, those type of things you demand just by your character and your nature and how you yourself conduct yourself. The Most High give you what you need. He'll give you what you're looking for. Well, he might not give you what you're looking for, but he'll give you what you need for sure. That's the only thing. You have to ask yourself, are you willing to trust in the Creator to move with what the Most High sends in your direction? Because a lot of us are not willing to trust in the Almighty. And that's what we have to learn to do. We have to learn to trust this King. Now, I know we say we trust in the Creator until when he sends us somebody that don't look like us all the way, don't look like your ideal man or your ideal woman, or the thing that you've been used to all your life, we tend to start second guessing the Creator. We begin to doubt the Creator, or maybe this was just me. Maybe this wasn't the Creator at all. Maybe this was just my mind. And that's how we begin to move and operate toward the Creator, but we shouldn't. It just may be that that is what the Creator has for you. And just by you being patient and giving yourself over to the Almighty to do what it is that he has for you to do, it just may be that the Father has mercy upon you, and he's tired of you being single, without a mate, sleeping in the bed alone, crying yourself to sleep at night. You know, I understand. I've been there before. I know what it's like to desire to have something and someone in your life that you don't have, that you can't have, that you probably never have. I know what it's like. And then I even know what it's like to be wrapped up with somebody that's a piece of trash. And you're stuck with that all your life. So I understand both sides of the spectrum. Both sides. I understand. I've been there before. But I also know that through our practice and worship of this King, anything is possible. I know that anything is possible through our worship of this King and our patience and our practice of serving him. So may the Most High be praised. All right, family. If there's any other questions or comments, please post it because we are about to close it out. Teach us how not see, to hurt, to even cry tears. Hurt sometimes hurt. Heart sometimes hurt. To hurt, to even cry tears. Well, you ain't gonna get that from me, sis. You ain't gonna see me up here crying no tears and talking, boo, I'm hurt. Oh no. You ladies can do that, but we men can't do that. You know, that's not becoming of a man. You know, even if he hurt, he ain't supposed to be, exuberating that to the world. Let him go behind closed doors, close his doors, and do whatever he got to do. But the world should never see him in that position. All right? No, the world should never see him like that. But a woman can do that. It's all right for a woman to openly cry to the public. It's okay for her to shed some tears and say all those things and do all this. It's okay for a female, but a man should not do these things. Okay, may the Most High be praised, and we are acceptance of that. I didn't see anything that you would have to hurt for, but yeah, I know what it is like to be single. You know, I do know what it's like to not have what you need in life by way of a mate. I do understand what it's like, but be patient. I don't care how old you are. I don't care your mental or physical condition. None of that matters because there's somebody out here for everybody. And you have to be hopeful that the Almighty will bring you somebody to fill that void in your life. But I'm going to tell you right now, don't be surprised if he already got 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 women already. Don't mean that he can't make you happy. Think about this for a minute, sis. Think about this for a minute. Right now, you're unhappy. You ain't got nobody. Wouldn't a piece of a righteous man be better than nobody? Wouldn't a piece of a righteous man be better than no man at all? It would be, wouldn't it? If you got just 20% of them, 30% of them, 40% even if you got 10%, a piece of a righteous man is better than no man. Because with a man comes safety, security, protection, all those types of things. And he has to with all those nashim, he has to have a way of bringing it all into your life. He's still responsible for you. He's still got to protect you. He's still got to give you the things that you need in life just to make it through. You're still his responsibility. So he has to figure out a way to make all of that work. If the Most High is in the midst of it, he will. You happy? I'm happy with me, but no one to share it with. You happy with you? Okay. We're going to have that conversation for another day because I don't know nobody happy being alone. I mean, you don't have to say it. I'm not trying to embarrass you or anything. It's just that society teaches us that women should put up this facade as if they cool being alone. They don't need no man. I ain't heard you say that part, and I'm happy with that. But to say that I'm happy with me, I'm happy with being single, I just don't see that. I don't see how that's possible because Creator made man to be with woman and woman to be with man. He made us that way. So naturally, we yearn for the opposite sex, for the touch of the opposite sex, for the intimacy of the opposite sex, for just to walk through the park with the opposite sex, for the protection of that man, for the provisions of that man. And that's what makes a lot of women masculine because they have no man providing for them. So they got to go out and fend for themselves and go out and get jobs and do all these things to provide for themselves. And dealing with this world will make a woman masculine. And not so with our women. Our women are not supposed to be this way. Okay? Okay, very well. And I respect that. May the Most High be praised. May the Most High be praised. All right, family, we're going to close it out. I think we are about exhausted all of our comments. All right? May the Most High be praised. May he be with you all until the next time we meet, next Shabbat at 11 o'clock. Im Yurtse Yotzir, I'll see you then. If it be the will of the Most High, I'll see you then. Shalom, shalom, family. Lala Tov. And thank you all. Thank you all for spending the Shabbat with us. Shalom, shalom.